Closed.
Fox's CB Cotton. New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill visiting a BJ's wholesale club store where the roof collapsed during storms yesterday that also caused flooding, downed trees, and power outages around the region. Sherrill urging people to report damage to the state's Office of Emergency Management.
Some of the applications we'll have for federal assistance will be very technical, so we want everyone to report those damages so we can calculate them.
The storms followed a heat wave now blamed for deaths in multiple states, including more than 20 in New Jersey. A retreat on Wall Street, the Dow down 131 at the bell. America is listening to Fox News.
Point!
Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down.
Ace!
You're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh, no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
It's a good-looking Tuesday afternoon, comfortable humidity, and pretty easy to take temperatures thanks to a north to northwest flow. Partly to mostly sunny and 87. Nice evening tonight. Clear sky, 69 for the overnight low. Wednesday, sunny and 88. Thursday, 93. Got showers and thunderstorms in here Thursday night, especially late Thursday night, Friday into Friday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, I start the afternoon in a much better mood than I had previously anticipated based on an earlier World Cup score. Because, so I don't know if you were dialed into this, and I'm not sure if the audience was dialed into this, and we'll get to the Americans from last night in a second, but Argentina was playing Egypt today in the World Cup.
Okay.
And I don't know if there was a more heavy favorite in the round of 32 than Argentina. And I looked at the betting line this morning, and it was plus 850. So you put $100 down, you get 850, right, for Egypt. Egypt led the game 2-0 with 12 minutes left.
Wow.
And I'm like sick to my stomach thinking, man, I should have placed that bet. But I was trying to do the responsible thing. So Argentina came back. They scored 3 goals in 12 or 13 minutes, and they won that game in a thriller today.
Dang.
So that would have been embarrassing for Argentina. They're not necessarily the tournament favorites, but that would have been a humiliation.
Would have been a very, very big upset. Would have been a very big upset. I've seen multiple tweets saying that is for Egypt 28-3-esque.
Oh
Falcons.
My goodness!
I mean, 2 goals in 13.
Yeah,
3 goals in 13 minutes is unheard of almost in soccer.
Well,
that
the
was
Argentinians
crazy.
decided they're like, we're not losing this game, and they were putting pressure on, and you just knew that they were going to score. Wait, hang on, Fred. Mike's down. Sorry.
Did Messi score any of those?
He scored the second one.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. Oh, it was a
beautiful goal too.
So you guys are going to honestly. I was at Busch Stadium last night. I went with some of our folks that we have on the roundtable, Steve Butts and Jeff Smith, and our friend Alex Rich was there. So we were in the Champions Club when the game started, watching a little bit, and then they scored right away. We're like, oh man, we didn't even get down to the seats before they scored. So I pulled it up on my phone, and then right then the Americans scored. I think we tied it at that point, didn't we? But
for about a minute.
For about a minute, and that was it.
61 seconds.
And then all of a sudden they scored again, right? So you'll have to tell me, because Fred, you watched it, right?
Oh yeah.
Sue, did you watch?
I did not.
Okay.
Good.
Did we just
waste your time.
because look, you got guys like there's this guy that I read in the LA Times, Michael Hiltzik, who's just a nutbag lefty, but I read his columns because they're just so embarrassing. And he writes a column this morning, and you knew this was going to happen. Like if Trump won the game, or I'm sorry, yeah, well there you go, Freudian slip, right? If the Americans won the game, Trump Trump would get blamed for interfering, blah, blah, blah. So they lose the game, and I think they lose it pretty outright, right? It's not like a margins. They were outplayed last night considerably, but it's Trump's fault. Michael Hiltzik and all these guys, it's Trump's fault. He intervened. It was casting a pall over the players' heads. Mentally, they weren't in it, and that's why they lost the game, all because the president tried to get a red card that should not have been a red card. I was kind of amazed. Bill McDermott was on with us last night. He's like the only person, I love Bill, by the way, don't get me wrong. He's like the only person on the planet that I heard making a case that originally should have been a red card, right? So now we don't have to worry about it, I suppose. I mean, there was a part of me yesterday that thought, man, if they lose, then we don't have to hear the Trump complaints. But the people who took time to root against the Americans because of this, they're just disgusting. I can't believe that this is, the place where we are in this country. We can't even root for our own team because the president made a call about a red card. And by the way, FIFA can do whatever the hell they want. And what was interesting is I read one column this morning in The Athletic that was ripping on the Americans and everything like that. However, at the end of his column, I'll have to pull this one up and look at it, he even pointed out, well, maybe there's something to be learned here about the review process. You think? Maybe there is. In the meantime, the Cardinals not only sucked last night again because they lost the 3-run lead in the 8th inning to the Brewers. I was at that game. That's when I left, Fred, right at the bottom of the 8th inning, or the top of the 8th inning, really, in between innings. And then today, Jordan Walker hit another home run today, a 2-run blast. They're up 2-0. I think they're down 4-3 right now, right?
Correct. Yes.
So this is a doubleheader, and Jacob Mizorowski was pitching for the Brewers. He's the guy that, pitches like 150 miles an hour, and we tend to get to him just a little bit. And he didn't have a great outing the last time, so I don't know if he's even still in there right now.
I don't think so.
But the Cardinals probably going to lose this game this afternoon. And then you worry about a sweep by this. This Brewers team is really good. I mean, they are really, really good. So we'll certainly keep you posted on that throughout the afternoon. I need to declare that this is a big declaration this afternoon. I had a realization this morning. Inflation is over. There's no more inflation. It is done. It's kaput. You know how I know this, Sue?
No.
Firsthand? Because I walked into the Walmart today in High Ridge that I love so much. And you know what a 24-pack of Diet Coke was rung up as this morning?
No.
You want to take a guess? So I'm going to tell you what it usually is.
24-pack, the regular size.
Regular size lately. The price has been consistently $14.97 at Walmart. $14.97 for 24 packs. So it was a Walmart rollback suit today. It was a rollback. What did it roll back to?
$12.
$9.97. That's a bell ring right there.
Wow.
Inflation is over. I'm tempted. Look, I took a picture of this. I put it on social media.
Wow.
I'm tempted to go back and buy the whole damn pallet.
How
much
did
would
you
that
buy?
cost? I bought 6. I just loaded
That's
6
fair.
into my cart.
You're going to buy them anyway.
That'll hold you for a week.
That'll hold me for about a week, right? Yeah.
I was going to say 4
Exactly.
days, but
4 days might
That
be
is
more accurate.
sad.
Oh, here's a little, you know what? Maybe some of this stuff I should have saved for the 4 o'clock hour, but I'll just toss this out right now, just as
we're
a
on
little quiz for the group.
Topic number 6 of the.
Oh, I know, and I haven't even gotten to Graham Plattner and all that stuff. I really want to get to that and how he's going to probably drop out before the end of the afternoon. So, because I'm an elitist, Fred's an elitist too, so I can include him in this.
I'm sorry, when did that happen?
Well, it happens when he goes to the Champions Club at Busch Stadium.
Gotcha,
right?
gotcha.
So we had our tickets. Steve Butts had great tickets for us, but we were also up in the Champions Club, which is an all-inclusive area, and they have food and cookies and stuff like that, and it's great. My daughter loves the brownies. I had to take her some brownies.
Really good.
But anyway, so I was in there before all the others joined me, and I'm sitting at a table. Sometimes there's a little competition to find a table, and I got some cash out. I rarely ever have cash, but I pay cash for parking down there, right? Because I feel like if I walk from the building, which I used to do, I might get killed. So I went and I got $40 out from the ATM across the street, like a little quick cash. Got $40. It's $25 for parking. I'm not good at math, but that leaves me with 3 5s, right? $15. So, in the Champions Club and some of these areas, you have people that are bringing you food and drink and stuff like that. So that was my tip money. I always tip these guys, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there at the table, and I have my 3 $5 bills sort of on the table because I usually do a preemptive strike, because you get better service that way. Like, I'm not tipping at the end. I do it beforehand. And the guy's name was Mark, which was easy for me to remember. So I look behind me. The game hadn't started yet. I look behind me, and there is money on the ground right behind me. And I'm like, I thought I dropped one of the $5 bills, but I'm looking, I'm like, I got 3 of them, so it doesn't make sense. So I reach back, and it is a $50 bill right behind me. So what's the play? What's the play here?
Well, you
ladies and
look
gentlemen?
around
What's the play?
and you see if somebody dropped it. Like, did anybody look like they had just walked by?
So I tapped the guy behind me,
Yeah.
sitting with his wife at the table. Said, "Hey," I said, "I just picked up a $50 bill from down here." I said, "I don't know if it's yours, but I wanted to mention it." He goes, "No, it's not mine." I said, "So what's the play? Tell me what the play is." Alexa got this right away. I was very proud of her. I told her this story last night, and she got it right away.
Lost and
Disappointed that
found.
you guys wouldn't do this right away.
I would take it to the bar and give it to one of the bartenders.
I gave it to
and say,
Mark. I gave it to my waiter
Ah,
right away,
nice.
without hesitation. I'm like, Mark, this is your night, because I told him what happened. I
Yeah.
said, in case someone would ask about it or something, but who's going to pull it back from him? But I mean, there was no way I was keeping that $50.
No.
That's a
Like,
win for everyone.
I wanted
That's
to
a win
get-
for you. That's a win
Yes,
for
thank you. This is a nice Mark Reardon
But that would have
story.
been bad karma. Now, look, if it was 100, I'd probably kept it.
Oh.
If we're being honest on it. No, I'm just kidding. That's what Becky asked me that
Don't
last
waste
night.
your time
Becky
with a
asked me
50.
last night. She goes, "What if it was 100?" I'm like, "Oh, I'd probably keep it then." But no, I
Hey,
mean,
you got away without having to technically tip, though, right? I mean, or at least you
Yeah.
didn't go
Yeah,
negative
that's a
on it,
good
right?
point.
So it's
You're
a win
right.
for all the marks.
That's actually true. But I was very proud of my daughter, because my daughter, right away, she goes, "You give it to the waiter." I'm like, "That's exactly what I did." And then I kind of explained to her what karma was. I don't know if that resonated, but I mean, I got enough bad karma. I don't need more bad juju taking a $50 bill. So
That
the
is
waiter,
also accurate.
yeah, the waiter ended up in pretty good shape last night. All right, we got a full show here this afternoon. Cassie Smedley's coming up here, former RNC spokesperson. She's always great on politics. Basically, what happened here is you had another rape allegation that came out yesterday, and this Graham Plattner guy, I mean, as if the Nazi tattoo wasn't enough. Everyone sticks with him. Pocahontas sticks with him, says, "Oh, he's my man." Bernie Sanders, he's my man. Sanders has pulled back his endorsement. Schumer has pulled it back. Graham Plattner is going to drop out of this race. He's got to get out by the 13th so they can figure out what to do. The whole thing is a disaster. The New York Times, if you want, and I'll do this here a little bit this afternoon, will expose media malpractice, because the New York Times had this information and they held it back. You know how? They held it back because then they saw the polling was bad, right? All of a sudden, now it's okay. We can print these stories because he's going to lose and we need to get him out. The whole motivation to do, the pieces in the first place was, oh, here's the new rising star in the Democrat Party. And sure, he's got a few flaws, but he's a real man and he's going to take back this seat in Maine. Well, that simply is not going to happen. And I think that at this point, we know that Susan Collins will be reelected. But Cassie's going to join us, one of our local Congress people. Ann Wagner's with us this afternoon. I've covered, and I mentioned this before, I've covered a fair amount of trials over the course of my career when I was younger, when I was a news person. And preliminary hearings are pretty much kind of status quo. You go in, there's little information. They don't last very long. The judge usually says, yeah, there's enough here to proceed to trial. In the Tyler Robinson situation, this is the guy who killed, I'm not even going to say allegedly, I'm going to go right out there. He killed Charlie Kirk, assassinated Charlie Kirk, and he's going to be on trial. Well, they have a preliminary hearing for him, and it's a 5-day long preliminary hearing. So I'm very confused by that. I don't know why a judge needs that much information and so much pretrial testimony. But Paul Mauro is going to join us, and he'll have those answers here this afternoon. David Strom from hotair.com, and then also it's Tech Talk Tuesdays with George Rosenthal. There's one bit of gossip, though, that maybe we'll hit this at 4:04 this afternoon, because I thought about it the other night when I was at the wedding, but then it just didn't resonate. Do you know that Blake Lively was not invited?
I do.
Is that not crazy?
Well, they have been feuding.
Well, but they were besties. They were in the suites at Arrowhead.
Yes, until
they weren't.
Until that weird lawsuit that she had.
And then the text
against
exchanges.
Justin Baldoni.
Right.
That's right.
The text exchanges revealed that there was tension, and that Taylor was like, wait a second, you're acting kind of weird.
Yes.
And Blake tried to make up for it and apologize and all that, but apparently they're on the outsies.
Uh-huh.
Wow. And it make I didn't see her and Ryan the other night, so it should have resonated with me then. We're coming back.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Westbound 70 looks good out of downtown. Little slow at K and at Wentzville. 64, most of the volume is at just past Lindbergh. We've got a report of something going on out there, whether it's a stall. And then eastbound is slowing at 270. Westbound slows again at Prospect. Southbound 270, some moderate volume, especially at the Clayton Road overpass. 44 westbound slows at 270. And on the Illinois side, 64 is jammed at 255. Westbound 5570, slowing, approaching 111. That, by the way, is all due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
You were doing traffic. You couldn't hear me poking Ethan there, could you? So he's right. He always writes up on our dry erase board all the commercials that we have, and he's using like the most faded marker ever. So I actually asked him, I said, can you use some more faded out markers so I really can't read it? Hey, I saw Stuart today from Stuart's American Mortgage, and we've been talking about this limited time offer. He's extending it because it's going gangbusters. So for those of you, two things here. Actually, there's an additional part. For those of you who are looking to get off the sidelines and buy a home, he's offering you a 1% discount on your interest rate for the first year. That's going to save you money. Plus, you lock that in and you still get the bagel loan with no closing costs. Now, that was going to be limited. It still probably will be, but it's extending here into the month of July. I was told it was going to end. I saw Stewie today says, let it roll. Also, on the refis. Now, that wasn't going to apply for the refi, but he says if you're going to go from an FHA to a conventional on a refi, he'll also give you the 1% discount plus the bagel loan. So this is a great time to at least explore the options with Stewie and his son Jordan, who handle all the loans, and they can close you in as little as 10 days. So Google the bagel loan, call his personal cell phone or text 314-324-4440. Amazing offer, 1% lower interest rate on new home purchases and for refis if you go from FHA to conventional. Stewart's American Mortgage, NMLS number 226715.
I'm Attorney General Catherine Hanaway, and I want to welcome you to Missouri for the Matches. We are on alert for human trafficking. It's often in plain sight. It's people who seem isolated, controlled, or who don't have their ID or money. To share a tip, download the Simply Report app or call 1-833-5-BE-SAFE. We need your help to stop human trafficking.
Sponsored by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Did you know replacing old vinyl windows with more vinyl windows might not be the best choice? Hi, it's Kim, and I'm here to tell you about Infinity from Marvin Windows, because these fiberglass windows, they're energy efficient, they're beautiful, and they're custom built to fit your home perfectly. The team at Lakeside Renovation and Design just makes the process so easy. I love the fact that they even offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. Look, if you're tired of drafts, high energy bills, or maybe hard to open windows, now's the time to upgrade. Visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free consultation today.
I met my wife in law school at the University of Florida. She was from upstate New York and I was from Kentucky. We met at a daily mass at St. Augustine's. She was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. After communion, I followed her out of the church and got her phone number. The rest is history. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Little did we know that one day we would have 4 children and the largest injury firm in the world. All 4 work in the business. It's a family business. Did I ever see this coming? Hell no. We just worked very hard and treated our clients like we would want to be treated, like family. It's a full-service injury firm, auto accidents, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, Social Security, and insurance disputes. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. Visit forthepeople.com and we can get to work on your case. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We have Congresswoman Ann Wagner coming up after the bottom of the hour. Cassie Smedile back with us this afternoon, former RNC spokesperson, Kansas City native. I was a little surprised not to see you at the wedding the other night, too. I thought that you would be there at Madison Square Garden, but I missed you. Blake Lively wasn't there either, so you shouldn't feel too left out, really, Cassie.
No, don't put me in the same category as Blake. I, of course, needed to be in Washington, D.C., celebrating the big 250.
Good for you.
But, yeah, sorry to miss it. You know what, mostly, though, I have to say quick, the number of times that I've gone around the last 48 hours, actually since the World Cup started, and saying, it's Kansas City, Missouri. All these things are Missouri.
I know.
It's nothing Kansas. It's not all the people from Kansas. They're all from Missouri. But
Right, but
yeah,
then
anyway, it's been fun.
once the Chiefs move over to Kansas, you're gonna have to reverse all that. So it gets very confusing. But look, that's it's always been one of my great frustrations, even though Kansas City is way on the other side of the state, because so many people think it is in Kansas. So let's talk about Graham Plattner here. My goodness.
Sure.
Here, let's talk about the past first.
Graham Plattner is the fighter we need. You bet. That's my kind of man.
I think Graham Plattner is a great candidate.
This guy is an authentic man.
I like Graham Plattner. You like Graham Plattner.
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Graham Plattner is the next senator from the state of Maine.
Well, they've kind of changed their minds on that, haven't they, all of a sudden? I mean, can we not come up with a rule in this country? I think it's very simple. Can a Nazi tattoo not be automatically disqualifying for a candidate in American politics? That would simplify it a whole bunch, wouldn't it?
That's right. Yeah, the disqualifying line is like way back there, miles away. It's been crossed so far, so long ago, so far, because that should have been it. That should have been the moment. And by the way, from a political standpoint, that was a moment where the party would have had time to do something about it. Okay, let's go. I mean, Schumer tried to recruit Janet Mills. She flopped spectacularly.
Right.
But even then, let's get together with the far left base. Let's see if there's somebody else. They should want somebody else too. But it just shows that that's who controls the Democrat Party today, because
those lines, trying to get, child support changed or removed once your children become of age. Those are all things you need Susan's help with. One thing I will also mention about her website, which is phenomenal. It's stlfamilylaw.com. There's a blog site on that, and they really kind of keep updated information about how the laws change. The laws change, I moved here from Wisconsin when I was divorced. The laws in Missouri very different from up there. Even in Missouri recently, there have been some changes to the parenting time and child support in Missouri. You can always check that out on Susan's website. The focus on family law, the emphasis on you. Susan L. Ward at stlfamilylaw.com.
You feel it every time you check out. Prices up, paychecks stretched, families squeezed. That's why Ann Wagner's fighting to get government off your back and out of your way. Wagner passed the largest tax cut in American history, expanded child tax credits, ended taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. And Wagner is working to lower costs so families keep more of their hard-earned money. But Ann Wagner knows delivering for Missouri means more than just protecting their wallets. It means protecting our streets as well. That's why Wagner fought to secure our border, deport dangerous illegal aliens, partner with law enforcement, and put predators behind bars and off our streets so our neighborhoods and communities stay safe. Because real effective leadership protects what matters most: your money, your family, your safety. Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
250 years of capitalism, private ownership, and rugged individualism. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
Got a Tuesday edition of Sue's News coming up in the next hour. Don't forget about that. Ann Wagner, Missouri's 2nd District Congresswoman, back with us this afternoon here in the district. How are you, Ann?
I am good. I'm good, because I am in the wonderful district, the 2nd District of Missouri, and I'm home and working for this week and not up in crazy town, D.C. So good to be with you.
How did you celebrate America 250, Ann?
In the rain, praying for the electricity to come back on, right? No.
A little bit on Saturday afternoon, right? Yeah.
Oh, man, we were with the family. We were splashed around the pool, barbecue, the whole bit, sparklers, all of it ready to go. And then, man, I've never seen rain and wind from every direction under the sun. We had about 80,000 residents that were out of electricity.
I don't think I knew that.
Yes.
Wow.
It was a little soggy, but we went forth. I mean, it is a big day, Independence Day, and the story of our forefathers and their incredible fight for freedom and liberty and self-governance is the greatest story and the greatest American experiment ever. And I'm just so proud to be an American, so proud to live in this country and to have the great honor of representing the people of the 2nd District of Missouri. I'm filled with gratitude and awe. I am.
Well, let's talk about some people who aren't filled with gratitude and awe, and that would be like Corey. Did you see Cory Bush picked up the Democrat Socialists of America endorsement today? No, no surprise. You saw what happened in New York City. I mean, some of this stuff is just off the wall, nutso. And now, this is so awesome, man. I'm sure you've been fine. So they stick with Graham Plattner all the way, Nazi tattoo on down, all the allegations, and finally today, Bernie Sanders pulls the endorsement. I'm waiting for Pocahontas to do the same thing. I mean, it's really incredible when you see what they tried to hang on to here. And then finally, I mean, as if the Nazi tattoo shouldn't have stopped it originally last
Amen to that. And I refuse to call them Democrat socialists. This is communism.
Yes.
We are borderline communism here. It's not just in New York. It's not just in New Jersey. It's not just, as we've seen now, in Colorado. It's about ready to move on August 4th up into Michigan also with that Al Sayed, who is, it's just, I have never seen people that hate America and this great nation so much. All they did on America's 250th was trash our nation. They want to destroy it. They literally, the quotes, how they forgot napkins on their 4th of July celebration, so they used the American flag to wipe their hands and their face off. I mean, these people are reprehensible.
It's disgusting.
Mark.
It really is. Yeah.
And the fate of the Democrats stuck with Plattner. And, there was a New York Times article, Mark, in early June, where 2 women came out accusing Plattner of rape.
Yeah.
And you know what? Man, it wasn't until the Democrat woman stood up and started to roar and scream that they all decided to pull their endorsements. This is a Chuck Schumer special here, and he wants him gone before they can't get him off the ballot anymore. So I think they have until maybe July 13th or
yes, I think it's the 13th.
Like that, so.
Right, exactly. And then
He'll fold by tonight. He'll fold by tonight. I'm sure of it.
And then maybe Janet Mills ends up on the ballot. By the way, on the topic of hating America, I mean, there's a great site out there. You're probably familiar with it, Libs of TikTok on TikTok and Twitter. And there was this teacher they posted a picture of today who is a teacher in Verona, Wisconsin. And on the 4th of July, she posts, "I do genuinely think less of you if you still support Trump." And then said, there was a meme that said, it's the 4th of July. And somebody says, "Yeah, I hate America, though." So these are people who desperately need help, I think, mentally, but it's unreal. And then, the whole thing with Trump and the World Cup, it's amazing what the reaction. There's still people today blaming Trump for that loss last night. It's his fault that the Americans kind of sucked and got outplayed.
Oh, my gosh. You know what? And I think FIFA made it very clear that there was already a question that had been posed to FIFA trying to get this overruled. And FIFA can overrule red cards like that. It was clearly an improper use of the red card. And it's a shame. It was a shame last night to see them go down to Belgium. But yeah, I think they were outplayed, and I'll just say that honestly. But I will say this, that all you have to look is no further than the World Cup and the visitors from
it's
other
amazing.
countries
It
that
is
are
awesome.
Here,
yes.
that love our country, that love America, that are here and celebrating with us. So that juxtaposed with these haters, these Democrat socialists / communists that are now taking hold of the entire Democrat Party, it is it's an affront to who we are. It's an affront to our Declaration of Independence, our U.S. Constitution, to our very values and way of life. I just find it reprehensible, and it is the lurch left that we are seeing in every single state, sadly, including ours.
In going back to the Europeans and the South Americans and everyone else that's coming here, I've been in Europe 2 times over the last 4 years, and I watched the media coverage over there, and it was just no, relation to reality in this country. And I think that's what a lot of the visitors are experiencing. They think that, we're all crime-ridden and this is happening and that's happening, and they're finally given the true vision of this country, which I think is awesome. Let's talk about a few things in Washington here. Congresswoman Ann Wagner with us. What is the current status Dennis, of the SAVE Act from this perspective? I know the House sent something to the Senate. The Senate hasn't passed it. I heard Speaker Johnson maybe refer to some different moves with the SAVE Act to get it to the president's desk. Can you give us any insight into that?
Well, I have voted for the SAVE Act, and we have passed it in the U.S. House of Representatives multiple times now. And this, again, is something that says you have to be a citizen to vote in this country, and you have to present a voter ID. And I'm going to say this, Mark. The state of Missouri, we get a gold star, all right? We absolutely do. We have voter ID in Missouri. We have a very strong absentee ballot safeguards. We don't allow mail-in ballots, except if you have a certified ballot saying you're going to be absent out of the country, serving your country. So it's very, very strict. All Missourians are asked for citizenship information and, believe it or not, Social Security numbers when you register to vote. So we have the SAVE Act in Missouri, but places like Illinois, California, New York, they do not. And we have sent it to the Senate. You know, Thune says over and over again he won't break the filibuster. He can't pass it. I think that he should. It is so important to the integrity of our elections. But it is where it is. I continue to stand with it, but we got to stop the dysfunction, and we've got to move forward. We got great, sound, strong pieces of legislation that must be moved across both the House and the Senate. The House has been the workhorse. I'm a workhorse. They name me as one of the very top, most effective members of the House of Representatives for the work I do, whether it's on senior fraud, on financial services, in the INVEST Act, on my crime victims fund, one bill after another. And, you know, I work hard for the constituents in this district, and everyone should be, and I want to see the Senate pass some of this sound legislation that we've moved. In terms of another reconciliation bill, there may be some things that we can put in, but remember, those have to be budget related, Mark. And the parliamentarian over in the Senate has pitched out the SAVE Act before when we've tried to include it. So, to be determined, there may be some limited things we could do that have a budgetary nexus there that could get the SAVE Act done through a Reconciliation 3.0. But, you know, we've got a lot of stuff that's got to get passed. And I don't want to see the Democrats are already talking about shutting the government down again. I mean, they've done that twice now on behalf of the illegal aliens, criminal aliens that are in this country. Again, choosing illegals over the American people.
No, I haven't heard that buzz.
Down.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, man, they are. They're talking about shutting it down again. We've got to at least have a continuing resolution, do our appropriations work. We've passed many of them in the House. We have more to do. The Senate hasn't even begun. We've got the defense authorization, which is very important to states like Missouri and to regions like St. Louis that are huge from a defense industrial base standpoint in terms of what we're doing with our next generation fighters, with the F-47s, with the F-18s that we build here. We all saw the flyovers. Oh my gosh! On the 4th of July, there was just it was so amazing to see that show of strength with the B-1s and the B-2s and our St. Louis-made Super Hornets. I mean, we need that authorized and by the House and the Senate. There's work that must be done. The troops must be paid. Government must be funded. And I'm tired of this absolute, I'm going to say, freeze that we seem to be in. So we got to move forward.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some of that going.
Be part of it.
Absolutely. Congresswoman Ann Wagner, let me just, before I let you go, I want to give you my Mark Reardon economic indicator, and it's good news. You ready for this? This was historic today. I went to Walmart in High Ridge. It's my favorite store, and it really is. It's a nice Walmart there. Diet Coke, 24 packs. You know I have an affinity for that. Me and Elon and Trump. I think I might, maybe.
Not healthy for you.
Well, so they say. But listen, the rollback at Walmart, $14.97 for a 24 pack. You ready? You know what it was this morning? $9.97. I'm tempted to go back and buy the whole damn pallet.
Hot diggity damn. You know what? Let me say this. I filled up my gas tank today at $3.44 per gallon.
It's coming down. It's coming down.
It's coming down. The price of Brent crude is anywhere from 68 to 72 per barrel. it's coming down, and all I want is to make sure that we put more money in the pockets of the people in Missouri 2nd District, keep them safe, keep them secure. I'm going to fight every single day to do that, Mark. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk to your constituents and to the folks that listen to you, the people that I have the honor of serving. I am proud to be an American. I am proud to stand here on the day that we talked about Trump accounts going live and all of these great things that are happening as a result of the work that we've done in terms of the biggest tax cut ever, in terms of great pieces of legislation. 13 months with no illegals crossing our border. All right? We have done amazing work, and there's more to do, and I want to get about it.
All right, Ann. Well, thank you for joining me this afternoon. I know you got a kind of a run to this primary here in the next few weeks, but we'll talk soon. I appreciate it.
You bet. Anytime. Take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a bad commute right now, but southbound 55 is a little bit slow south of Highway M. And we look pretty good on southbound 270. It's just the usual slow pockets. So that means anywhere from Olive through Gravois, but it's just mainly moderate. And moderate volume westbound 40 Kings Highway out through McCausland slows at Lindbergh and then Lake St. Louis Boulevard to the 70 split. 70 westbound a little slow at Jennings Station Road at K and at Wentzville. And the usual volume now on the Illinois side, all due to road work. Eastbound 70 at 64, eastbound 64 at 255, and westbound 5570 headed for 203. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. We'd like to congratulate them on their 50-year anniversary. You do not stay in business that long by not supplying quality products with outstanding service. The key is their experienced staff. Contact Barron Mirror Glass and Door today and let them show you why 50 years is just a start. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, Sue, why does J.D. Vance have a chicken coop at the vice president's residence? More important than that, why did the Washington Post think that they had to do an entire story on a chicken coop?
Oh, boy.
Those answers and more coming up.
Hey, it's Scott Jennings, and what does America mean to me here on our 250th birthday? The future of Western civilization. The future of human liberty. That is what is at stake in our world right now.
America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from Crawford Butts Insurance. As we reflect upon the 65th anniversary of Crawford Butts and we enter the heart of the summer season, I hope that you're able to take some quality family time and enjoy your family and friends, especially as we join together as Americans celebrating our 250th anniversary as a nation. So from all of us at Crawford Butts, a blessed summer and happy birthday, America. Contact me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500.
Hey, it's Annie, and I'm here with my friend Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. Stewie, if there's one thing I know, it's that people are looking for cash right now. And the mortgage being the biggest bill that most people have, is it the right time to refinance or even just restructure their current mortgage?
You know what, Annie? My wife came over to me yesterday and said, you know what, honey? I love you, and your love gives me thrills, but unfortunately, it don't pay my bills. So here's what we're going to do. Do the bagel loan. If you financed your house over the last 3 years, rates are lower today than they've been over that period of time. Call me. We can refinance, save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month. Now, many people out there think they have a low rate, but maybe you're paying the PMI or maybe you have an FHA loan. You have to look at the total picture, and that's the mistake people make. They say, hey, I'm in a great position. I can't do better. Wrong. 9 out of 10 people that call us with the same conversation, hey, I'm just calling you just to see. We end up refinancing them and saving them lots of money.
Call Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage, and remember the bagel loan, no closing costs. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis conservative.
All right, a couple of political stories that I want to toss in here. I was unaware of this, and there's two stories in the Washington Post I'm going to highlight right now. The first of which seemingly is somewhat newsworthy and relevant, and I had not heard about this. Do you know Mitch McConnell's been in the hospital for 3 weeks?
I saw that.
He spent 3 weeks in the hospital. The office will not say what sent him there. I mean, he's not running for re-election. We know that, but he hasn't resigned from Congress. But, I mean, that's a pretty long stay. They say EMS dispatch audio from the morning of June 14th suggests that EMS were sent to McConnell's home to attend to an unconscious person in cardiac arrest. The call went out at 8:36 for that person at McConnell's address. An ambulance was set, and then they did CPR in progress. But he's still there, and I'm not sure what's happening. I was just talking to someone last week who told me the story of a friend who had a heart attack. Actually, it was a family member who had a heart attack, but they basically had him in a medically induced coma while he was recovering. So maybe it's something similar with Senator McConnell to make sure that he, staves off the concern that they have in that situation, I think, is infection, right? And a lot of times in the hospital, they're worried about infection and things getting worse. So that's just kind of a weird story because I hadn't heard about that. Sue, apparently you were ahead of me because you knew that story. The other one is about J.D. Vance. And we have this big political story today about Graham Plattner. He's not getting out in Maine, but everyone around him who has stuck with this guy through everything, Nazi tattoo to rape allegations, finally they're backing out, right? Bernie Sanders has pulled his endorsement. Pretty much everyone is pulling their endorsement at this point, but Graham Plattner is refusing to get out, saying, if I name my replacement, then I'll get out. I mean, and what you heard Congresswoman Wagner, I think by the end of today, it would not be unanticipated that, that he's out. But on a really, really big political news day like that, you have this headline in the Washington Post: the Vances added a chicken coop to the vice president's residence. We had questions. Who will be raising the hens at the Naval Observatory, and why are the Vances taking on this project? Now, I will say that it gave the Washington Post an opportunity to put in some cool pictures of chickens and hens, and actually the what they put in here, it's a custom-made chicken coop. Have you ever thought about having chickens?
I had neighbors that had chickens, and that worked out well, but I don't want them in my yard.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I think my cats would have a lot of fun with them in my yard. But, I have friends that have them, and I do love the fresh eggs. So they have this custom-made coop. By the way, the taxpayers did not pay for this, okay? This cost between $100,000 and $100,000. Yeah, well, when you see it, it looks like a guest house, all right?
Oh.
Look at the fancy setup that it is. So it may have cost up to $120,000. There was a North Carolina company that built the structure. It was donated by the company, right? So it wasn't the taxpayers didn't put that on. But then in the Washington Post, they say, so who exactly will be raising the hens? And why are the Vances taking on this project? For eggs? For educational purposes? For feathered pets? A spokesman for Vance did not respond to multiple emails. How about just eggs? Maybe they're doing it for eggs.
Those eggs are unbeatable.
Right, exactly.
Oh, they're so good.
That is deemed like the most important political story by the Washington Post today, which is just ridiculous.
Cool looking coop.
It is a cool.
I mean, but my neighbors did not look like that.
Where we just, adopted the new kitten Smokey from, they had chickens, and it was kind of cool to see the chickens. And I would, I don't have enough. It's not like I don't have any yard, but I really don't have a big backyard.
Right.
And I know a chicken coop would hopefully be protected from the cats, but if I lived in a more rural area, I would do it, I think.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. It's a cool thing. My in-laws have chickens, and the eggs are unbelievable.
I know. I do like the fresh eggs for sure. All right, we're going to break here at the top of the hour. When we return, I do have to kind of come back to some of the World Cup stuff with the Americans. There's a little bit of humor that has been injected into all of this from our friends at the Babylon Bee, and I appreciated that. We'll have Sue with Sue's News. I always like to take a little peek over here into the audio because sometimes there's musical history.
Cheat.
I see a couple of different sound bites in there. Paul Mauro is going to join us. A very unusual week-long preliminary hearing in the trial for the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk. Usually those things don't last 5 days, and there's not as much testimony. So I wanted to check in with Paul. He'll have all the insight on that. My guess is he'll have some thoughts on Graham Plattner and some of this other stuff as well. David Strom from hotair.com at 5:04. And today is Tech Talk Tuesdays. Last week, George Rosenthal, we gave him the week off. He had some family business to attend to, but we're going to talk with him right around 5:30. We always, talk AI and some of the things. There's some ads on X that are spreading malware, which is not a good thing. There's a Microsoft account hijack. So he always brings the goods. Not all of them are good, but George will be here at 5:30 for Tech Talk Tuesday.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident southbound 55 past Union. Watch for that one on the right shoulder. And there's some volume just south of Highway M in the construction zone. Southbound 270, slow pockets Olive down through Gravois. We've got southbound 170, a little slow at 6440. Now westbound 70, moderate volume Jennings Station Road, K and Wentzville. 64 is heavier. And that's Kings Highway out through McCausland, approaching Lindbergh to a point just west of there. Slowing again at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. But again, most of the traffic on the Illinois side due to road work. 70 eastbound at 64, 64 eastbound at 255, and westbound 5570 between 255 and 203. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, some things are really easy to talk about here in St. Louis, and I think Generator Supercenter is one of them because they have a retail outlet out in Chesterfield. I've had some power outages even recently at my home. Maybe you have too with some of the storms that have moved in. Luckily, nothing that has been lengthy, but we know, and we have, Mayor Mamdani in New York City, let's use that as an example, unfortunately. He told everyone last week, set the air conditioner to 78 degrees. We know for certain that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce kept Madison Square Garden at a comfortable, cozy, warm 78. There's no doubt about that. But the point being, you don't want your power to go out. You certainly don't want it to happen when it's like 100 degrees out. And here's some great news from Generator Supercenter. It's Freedom Month. So they are celebrating our 250th anniversary with a $2,500 off the entire month of July only on your system. So get a free estimate. And again, $2,500 off through the month of July. That is an amazing deal to give you peace of mind and to give you a generator that's going to kick right in when the power goes out via natural gas or propane, and it's going to keep you from having to worry about your home. If you're out of town, you don't have to worry about the food spoiling. You don't have to worry about missing your streaming shows. None of those things that are important. So stop by the showroom, call for a free estimate, and don't forget $2,500 off for new sales and installation customers throughout the month of July. That's awesome from Generator Supercenter. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com or call 314-499-2020. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
Hi, I'm Eric. And I'm Howard. We're the pain guys of Canner and Pintaluga. You already know after an accident to call 911 and then 411. 1-800-411-PAIN.
But you may not know behind the number is an experienced law firm with nearly 100 attorneys working hard for our clients.
Call the pain guys at 1-800-411-PAIN.
Law Offices of Canner and Pintaluga, Kyle Conhauser, Esquire. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Offices throughout the U.S. Not all lawyers licensed in all jurisdictions.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
It's Mark Cox. Celebrate the month of July with Zero Res. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129 and get your air ducts clean for $5.99 per unit. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the savings.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Tuesday edition of Sue's News coming up. Paul Mauro from Fox at 4:30. And then we got David Strom at 5:04.
A cascade of defections. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. A growing number of fellow Democrats are calling on Graham Plattner to drop out of the Senate race in Maine as an ex-girlfriend publicly accuses him of rape. One of his biggest supporters and fundraisers, Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders, says he spoke with Plattner and recommended that he step aside.
Plattner denies the rape allegation, and he has not dropped out of the race, but says he's weighing his options. This is just the latest scandal for Graham Plattner, following backlash over the chest tattoo as a Nazi symbol, also physical abuse allegations from other ex-girlfriends.
Fox's Alexis McAdams. If he drops out, party officials in Maine have until next Monday to choose a new candidate to face Republican Senator Susan Collins in November. At least 2 other Democrats now filing paperwork that opens the door to running. A setback in court for the Trump administration's effort to get detailed information about election workers in Georgia.
The Justice Department is seeking to obtain the names and personal contact information of every individual who worked or volunteered for Fulton County, Georgia's election operations in 2020 and obtained a grand jury subpoena to do that in April. But a federal judge has quashed that subpoena, ruling the subpoena is unreasonable and highly burdensome. The grand jury subpoena followed a January search of Fulton County's election hub by the FBI. President Trump has long claimed widespread voter fraud in the county cost him Georgia in the 2020 election. No recounts or investigations have uncovered fraud.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. A deadly confrontation between federal immigration agents and a man they were trying to arrest in Houston. ICE says he was an illegal migrant from Mexico who attacked an officer with his vehicle early today during an attempted traffic stop and was shot when the officer fired in self-defense. The driver later died at a hospital, the FBI investigating. America is listening to Fox News.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a US-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
It's a good-looking Tuesday afternoon, comfortable humidity, and pretty easy to take temperatures thanks to a north to northwest flow. Partly to mostly sunny and 87. Nice evening tonight. Clear sky, 69 for the overnight low. Wednesday, sunny and 88. Thursday, 93. Got showers and thunderstorms in here Thursday night, especially late Thursday night, Friday into Friday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, we have some relatively big breaking news here this afternoon on the World Cup. Here it is. The United States men's national team was officially placed back in the World Cup after President Trump ordered the deportation of the entire Belgian team. Yeah, they're out of here. Just minutes after Belgium had apparently eliminated the U.S. last night, ICE agents acting on Trump's orders arrived on the pitch and began detaining the Belgian players. This is from the Babylon Bee. I love it so much. Look who we caught smuggling in illegal waffles, said Trump, displaying the pictures of the handcuffed Belgian team en route back to Europe. They're not sending us their best. Belgium gang members in their matching outfits hiding tons of waffles under their big socks with a clear intent to distribute. Not on the watch of your favorite president, which means America is now in the World Cup quarterfinals. If you can believe it, for the first time in history. There you go. That's what I'm hearing this afternoon. That is brilliant. I love the Babylon Bee. It's like the modern day Onion on, the interwebs, if you will. So that was very funny. But, I kind of joke about this, but then I mentioned this column from the LA Times. Michael Hiltzik is a guy that, unfortunately, I read his columns, mainly because it gets me fired up, and I do like to see maybe sometimes what the what the other side is saying. But, Fred, you've probably seen some of this today with people blaming Trump for the loss, right? I mean, they were going to blame Trump no matter what. Like, if we won the game last night, then Trump gets the blame because he's the one that's totally responsible, not FIFA, for overturning the red card. So then it's tainted, right? Even if the U.S. wins any more games, it's tainted. But if they lose, it's still a bad thing. So here's the headline from the LA Times. Trump's World Cup meddling only made matters worse for rattled U.S. crowd. And it goes basically, is everybody happy now? You good, Mr. President? Put our boys in a blender. President Trump did with those phone calls to FIFA, President Infantino. Mess with their mojo by politicking to get American striker Folarin Balogun's red card rescinded. I mean, that's the whole first 3-4 paragraphs of the article. And basically, she goes, this is actually not Michael Hiltzik. It's another reporter at the LA Times named Miriam Swanson, but Michael Hiltzik wrote a column like this too. Basically said, let me read this part here. Some 40 or 50 million viewers were expected to tune in. How many of them watched for the first time? And what sort of impression did Monday's blunder-filled meltdown in a 4-1 loss against Belgium make that we stink at soccer still? So the interesting part of that is I think we just got our asses kicked, right? I'm pretty sure.
That's how I see it.
As I'm also sure that Jesus Christ doesn't necessarily pick winners in football and basketball, even though he's given credit for that a lot. I don't think President Trump had real influence on the way that the team played yesterday or last night. I mean, if you want to say it was played around the margins or something like that, maybe the score would have been a little closer, but 4-1 in a football match is a pretty big stomping.
Yeah, it is.
Right? That's not exactly a close game. And Fred, you watched it, you said, right?
Oh, yeah.
Ethan said it was just embarrassing. We just got outplayed at every turn.
It started out bad in the first minute when our goalie had to make a save. It's like, oh, this isn't going to go well. I mean, we missed defensive assignments. We had bad passing.
Ooh.
It just stayed bad.
Yeah, and that's just disappointing. I mean, because they get to this level. But, what we saw earlier today, I'm telling you, if people weren't dialed into what was happening, Egypt goes up 2-0 on Argentina. And Argentina comes back and scores 3 goals in like 12 or 13 minutes to basically save face, with the entire World Cup. That would have been a major, major upset. Yeah. Probably, certainly the biggest one so far. No, I remember now what I was referring to. Michael Hiltzik columns at the LA Times was something else. They were basically writing about the ruling from last week in the Supreme Court on the trans issue and women's sports. And what's amazing here, and this is really kind of typical for the mainstream media, for the legacy media, for the New York Times. The New York Times is on full display today because they ignored all these women who were accusing Graham Plattner, and finally they have to admit that they made a mistake, and Michelle Goldberg and some of the columnists over there are doing big mea culpas for getting this wrong. I mean, we all kind of been pointed out that this whole thing with Graham Plattner has been wrong for months, right? And everybody said, I mean, every guest, Fred, that I had on the air that was talking about this, they all said the same thing. The worst is yet to come. Like, I don't even think what happened yesterday was the worst allegation. The Oppo research on this guy got so thick. But the other thing that's amazing is the Democrats. Okay, so the Republicans, this is what happens. The consultants come in, they try to find out all the dirt that they possibly can. And usually with people running for political office, it ain't that hard, right? So in this case, the Democrats, and they admitted, we even had some of the audio from some of the people close to the campaign admitting that they didn't really vet some of the most damaging allegations, including the Nazi tattoo. So that was one of the things that that was written about by the other person. But here, Michael Hiltzik talks about the trans thing. And he just seems to be, and this is what's going on, this is why I made the New York Times allegation, or not allegation, but analogy. They're both in the same camp where they're so completely out of touch with where the reality of America is. In the LA Times situation, and this gets used by the pro-trans community a lot, there's no record of any transgender person participating in school sports in the state, let alone any problem with a transgender student creating unfair competition or unsafe conditions. So that's something that Michael puts in his column in the LA Times. It's a very direct quote from Justice Sonia Sotomayor, and that's just completely false. It's not even close to reality. I mean, there were so many people that have been affected. And by the way, I've said this before too. I don't care if it's just one trans athlete, like this person in Connecticut. It's too many if they're taking opportunities away from young women. And it's still beyond even baffling to me that the three liberal women who are supposed to be taking up for women didn't take up for women. Now, not as much of a surprise because one of those women could not even define what a woman was during her confirmation hearings. But when I open the LA Times and, I look at the way that they try to explain this and, basically say that there is no biological difference whatsoever, that the unfairness issue isn't even something that should be on the table. That's essentially what Michael Hiltzik, this guy in the LA Times, wrote. And that's basically the position of a lot of people on the left. And they blame Republicans for this. So I actually sent an email to Michael today. I'm guessing he might read it, but I don't think I'm going to get a response. And I thanked him. I said, I really thank you for, your columns because they give me so much material to use here on my talk show in Missouri. But what I seriously did is I guided him in to Jamie Reed's piece that was in the Free Press 3.5 years ago. Because if you haven't read that, and by the way, you read that piece and then you track everything in the aftermath that's happened with the trans movement, including up to the moment that the Supreme Court ruled on that a week ago, it all fits with what Jamie Reed said. Everything matches up. This is what we discovered in England and Scotland with the Tavistock Clinic, too, which is why they stopped doing gender-affirming care. So what I said to Mr. Hiltzik is, maybe you should take some time to read this column by Jamie Reed, a lesbian who was married to a trans dude, right? And see that, because the one that always sticks out to me, there are a variety of examples, but I think the listeners and you guys know I've used this before because it's quite jarring when you see it, when she writes about it. There was a young boy that comes in who is having sex or claiming to have sex with dogs. And not only claiming to have sex with dogs, but expressing a desire to have sex with dogs again. And the medical experts, the gender-affirming care experts at Washington University, one of the most esteemed, universities and medical schools in the country, felt that the answer for someone who is clearly mentally distressed, having sex and expressing a desire to have sex with dogs, was to put that person on puberty blockers, hop him up on medication, and help him transition to something that he wasn't. That was their answer. I mean, I'm not making that up. Jamie's not making it up. By the way, they don't do that crap anymore. You know why? Because she wrote about it and she exposed it, and everyone said, we're not doing this anymore. And the attorneys general across the country, including ours here in Missouri, got on this case, and people like Chris Elston, Billboard Chris, and some of the other heroes out there like Riley Gaines, the list goes on, were heroic in this particular movement. So it's fun for me just to see how out of touch they really are. And, it's weird. We have two great examples. The one that I just pointed out in the LA Times on two different stories, right? And then the New York Times not really doing their job on Graham Plattner. It's so mysterious why people don't trust the media. That is just baffling.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, I'll tell you, we look good through North County. If you are an eastbound 270 drivers, things look great. 70 westbound out of downtown, slowing at Jennings Station Road. a little bit west of 94 and again at Wentzville. 64 is not bad. It's Kings Highway out through McCausland, and this is moderate volume. Same thing at Lindbergh, and it's heavier Lake St. Louis Boulevard on out. Now, southbound 270, slow pockets approaching the Clayton Road overpass, and it goes down through Gravois before it gets better. Southbound 55 is jammed south of Highway M, just in the construction zone there. On the Illinois side, there's road work causing a delay southbound 255, kind of making the turn there and headed for the JB Bridge. On the Illinois side, a jam eastbound 64 at 111 to 157. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they have been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. They do everything from siding to kitchens and give you quality craftsmanship and lifetime warranties. Go to lakesiderd.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
And she's back in just a few minutes. Sue's News coming up.
It's motorcycle season in St. Louis. Time to ride. When the road gets rough and you're injured in an accident, you need someone who's got your back. You need Kaufman Townsley. We're local, we know St. Louis, and we don't settle unless it's what's best for you. When it's not, we go to trial, and we bring decades of experience with us. Kaufman Townsley, real people, real results. Call 314-777-7777. That's 314-777-7777.
The 2027 models are arriving, and that means huge savings during the 2026 closeout sale at Apache Village RV. Right now, every remaining 2026 RV is priced to sell, including popular models from Jayco, Forest River, and Keystone. Whether you're looking for a travel trailer, fifth wheel, or motorhome, now is your chance to score a great deal before these models are gone. Don't miss your opportunity to save thousands and get road trip ready for your next adventure. The 2026 inventory won't last long. Shop the closeout sale today at both locations in Hazelwood and AVRV in O'Fallon or ApacheVillageRV.com.
Running a small business is a daily balancing act. One late shipment, one price hike, one employee issue, and your whole month, maybe the entire year, could be in trouble. That's where LendSeek comes in.
I needed $100,000 fast to keep up with inventory demands. LendSeek had me funded the same day I applied. Between their AI platform finding the fastest deal and a dedicated funding specialist guiding the process, it couldn't have been easier.
Our AI-driven platform matches your business with the right program from over 100 funders, up to $2 million in as fast as 24 hours. Don't wait until it's too late. If you've been in business at least 2 years with more than $500,000 in annual revenue, qualifying is simple. No collateral, no out-of-pocket costs, no hassle. From lines of credit, term loans to revenue-based financing, LendSeek is open for business. Apply in minutes at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
Bill, that's a big smile for an old politician.
I'm thinking about our plan. It's slick enough to make a lobbyist blush. First, we hoodwink voters with Amendment 5. Tell them it's a tax cut. Once they're hooked, we decide who pays the higher taxes.
So it's not a tax cut plan, and we don't get a say?
Right, just swaps who pays the tax, but it does remove 3 voter-passed taxpayer constitutional protections. That lets us levy new taxes on services, increase sales taxes, and even tax home sales, and voters will no longer get to vote on tax hikes.
Higher sales taxes on groceries, gas, service taxes on doctor visits, childcare, and even rent on apartments. Jeez. Taxes could exceed 20%.
Sure, they figure that up to 80% of taxpayers will pay more taxes. Many, hundreds more. Seniors, they'll get hit even harder, but our big donors will cut a fat hog.
The ones getting butchered by Amendment 5 are most taxpayers. I'm voting no on 5.
Paid for by Missourians for Fair Taxation.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mary Claire Haver, a board-certified OBGYN and menopause specialist. My new podcast, Unpaused, is the place for bold, unfiltered conversations about what it really takes for women to thrive in the second half of life. Every week, I sit down with medical experts, cultural icons, and powerhouse women to talk about what really matters. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Listen to and follow Unpaused with me, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Been a fair amount of coverage. We're going to get into this at 4:30, a preliminary hearing for the assassin in the Charlie Kirk murder. And it's not typical to have like a week-long preliminary hearing, but Paul Mauro is going to kind of fill us in on that coming up at the bottom of the hour. Not before we do this here this afternoon.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Well, it's National Father-Daughter Take a Walk Day, so there's your evening, Mark.
There you go. I should do that tonight. That's not out of the question. We can do it for sure.
Good. It's also National Strawberry Sundae Day, and that sounds excellent to me.
I can do that, too.
Woo! And National Day of Rock and Roll, and we'll get to some of that on this day in history. And it's National Macaroni Day. I cannot tell you the last time I ate macaroni and cheese. It's just not
Wait,
something.
are you kidding me?
No.
I had last night. They had some
really?
because up in the Champions Club, because I'm an elitist, they had this fancy mac and cheese with I can't remember, it was like brisket in it.
Now that sounds
it was delicious. But I do have mac and cheese quite a bit because I steal it from Alexa. She loves Breadco mac and cheese. Trader Joe's has a good mac and cheese.
Breadco is amazing.
Yeah,
really?
I like Breadco,
What kind of cheese
is it? It's like
is
a
it?
white cheese. Yeah, it's really good.
Fortunately, I mean, that's fine. But if I order,
well, you're not
something
5.
from
I
the
understand.
Side, yeah. Okay, thank you. That might be part of it. Okay,
I will say this: that this is just a simple concoction I do. Like Kraft macaroni and cheese with ground beef. I mix ground. I like it. It's good.
It's pretty much hamburger helper.
Yes.
That's what you're making.
You're right. You're right about that. Yes.
Yes.
But I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's fair. 58 years ago today, in 1968, we do have some music. The Yardbirds performed their final concert, and their breakup was 3 years after Clapton quit and 8 months after Jeff Beck left.
What year?
68.
68, okay.
Okay. Well, now, guitarist Jimmy Page had to fulfill concert obligations that was left over from the Yardbirds. So he formed a new group and called it the New Yardbirds.
That's right.
And then Keith Moon said it'll probably go over like a Led Zeppelin. So Page changed the name of his group to Led Zeppelin.
Very historic. Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that cool? So all of that 58 years ago today. And then, okay, this is an earworm. I did it to myself. I'm now going to do it to you. Because on this day in history, 28 years ago in 1998, Bare Naked Ladies released their album, Stunt.
I don't know if this is a bad earworm, though. It's a great song. The lyrics are very fun, and how would you refer to this? Because they have a lot of
there you go
humor. Here it is. I guess when I heard Bare Naked Ladies for the first time, I'd never heard anything like it.
Right.
Maybe that's one of the reasons they were so successful. I've never seen them in concert.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
There
you go. All right.
This was their breakthrough hit 1 week. Fred, did you like it at the time?
No.
Oh, really? You were
I
anti-Bare
don't think
Naked
so.
Ladies? Interesting.
I kind of like it. I like this song.
I worked at a cluster of stations where this was played 24/7.
Oh, well, then you get sick of it. But it was a unique song, and then they had
It was
several.
unique,
And I think they still tour. I think they were at the Factory a couple years ago, within the last couple years.
Oh, that's cool. All right, the running of the bulls was this morning in Pamplona. Fred, you ever want to run with the bulls?
No way.
That's so unfortunate.
Let me just say that what's funny about that is, when I was someone who anchored newscasts back when I was younger, but that used to be like a big thing. Like we would always have it on all the newscasts, and you would see the video, and you'd say, why are those stupid people doing that? I have a friend from Chicago I went to journalism school with who actually did it at one point, and I guess it's just the thrill of not trying to get killed. I'm not exactly sure, but they still do it? Do they have
still?
Something tells me that the rules might be a little different than they used to be, though.
Because
you don't hear of goring, right?
Yeah.
There's
Right.
when's the... You always had goring involved, right?
Yeah, Mike did it when he was a kid.
No kidding?
Oh, yeah.
You're
he
kidding
said,
me.
I'm not going to do it again.
So
and I was young.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
well, my friend who did it, I can guarantee you there was alcohol involved. So that's all I know about that one. My friend Diane in Chicago.
Well, it's all part. Here's a connection. Here's the thing. It's part of a 9-day festival. And this is where thousands of people run through the crowded streets, chased by, and I never knew the specifics of this, 6 steers and 6 fighting bulls. Now, one of my favorite commercials of all time was that one at the Super Bowl when they did the running of the bulldogs instead of the bulls.
Right.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, it was awesome. Look that up if you want to kick. But it precedes a bullfight. And this year is the 100th anniversary of Ernest Hemingway's book, The Sun Also Rises. And that featured the running of the bulls. And what it did was, it used to be like a small town Pamplona, Spain thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when people read about it in Hemingway's book, it introduced the rest of the world to it. And then it became a thing. So if you read The Sun Also Rises, Mark, did you read The Sun Also
Oh my God,
Rises?
I probably read that 3 times. I've been rereading the classics here in the last years. But once I finished The Odyssey, I went on a tear.
Well, sure.
By the way. Yeah.
Uh-huh. But that's how it became a thing, and that's how the Western world found out about it.
So I've been to a bullfight, like a real bullfight.
Never
and it was, look, and I don't want to say I'm risk averse to having empathy for animals because I'm the opposite. I love animals. But I'm in Spain. This was in 1983. When I was there the last time, they don't do them. Most parts of Spain, they don't do them anymore.
Yeah,
but I think
yeah.
in Barcelona, they still might.
Ugh.
But I mean, it was jarring because, here's what I remember. 2 things. The Guardia Civil walking around the stadium with machine guns, okay?
Oh, whoa.
And when the bullfighter was having success with what he was doing with the bull, I'm sorry to just gushing blood, like vomiting blood.
No.
It is
horrible.
It is horrible.
That is horrendous.
Oh my goodness. And I know there's like pomp and pageantry and all that stuff, but
who cares?
even look,
Horrible.
I'm a hunter and all that. It did not seem like something I wanted to ever participate in again. I will tell you that.
Oh, I could not have watched
Which
it.
is why, for the most part, they've banned them.
Yeah, for the most part.
Not
What's
all,
the
though.
final? Come
Well,
on.
I don't know.
I mean, ugh. Did you guys hear this? Thieves hit another French museum on Sunday.
No.
All right, well, they managed to steal millions of dollars worth of jewelry. I don't think the French are properly guarding museums.
Sounds like it.
Okay, this one is in northeastern France, and it sounds like they just broke through a door, and they did it at about 5:30 in the morning when they figured, nobody will be up. They smashed display cases to get to the loot, and the jewelry itself is worth over $4 million, and they got out. So now they're looking for it. I don't know where you fence this sort of thing. See how I say France, like I know what I'm talking about. But I don't know where you sell stuff like that. But, yep, it happened again.
Well, Mission Impossible and other movies tell me that there are buyers for these things all over the place.
Okay, well, that's
Covert,
true.
secret buyers.
And then a Picasso portrait valued at $14 million has been recovered after police discovered it during a raid of a suspected drug trafficker place near Paris. So they go in, and they're like, wait a minute, what's this? And the painting shows Picasso's longtime muse and one of the most important figures in his artistic career. So authorities say the artwork was probably stolen from a storage facility. They think they broke into one in Paris, and they think it was a security guard who broke in, got it, and then thought, how in the world am I going to sell this? And where am I going to sell it? So
they just
brought
kept it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so that's what happens. Now, we don't have Jane, but if we did, we'd be eating this today. Pringles will be selling flavored hot dog buns in Pringles cans. It's not a joke. It's a limited edition stunt to celebrate National Hot Dog Day, which is next Wednesday. Look at it. There's one per Pringles can.
Oh, I was going to say, because that was going to be my question was going to be, how many can you stuff in there,
so
right?
You got to get, and you can get them, they're different flavors. There are sour cream and onion. You can get a barbecue, or you can get like a honey mustard flavor.
It is a pretty good stunt.
It is a good stunt.
We're talking about it, right.
I don't think that's a bad deal. And how many do you have to buy to get it done? Okay, and there is a new report out that says some celebrity superfans are now spending serious money to be buried next to their idols. Here are some of the wildest ones. Okay, one Marilyn Monroe fan paid $195,000 for a mausoleum crypt next to her or near Marilyn Monroe. A Judy Garland fan spent more than $50,000 on an urn niche right next to her, and even filled it with his own art. For now, he's like, well, I bought this thing. I might as well just put something in there. So this is the latest weird thing that people do. Well, if you can't be by them in life, Just get married by him.
If you have the money to do that and you want to do something that dumb, I guess go for it. But that's completely nonsensical.
I know.
What?
And
First of all,
what?
You're going to be dead. Okay, the worm, you're Judy and
You're
the
gonna
worms
be
are
dead.
eating you just the way they did Judy, right? So I'm not sure what they're thinking there.
Those inflatable, here's today's random fact. Those inflatable dancing tubes you see outside car dealerships have only been around since 1996. They were originally invented as part of the opening ceremonies for the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta.
Wow, and those
Isn't
things
that
are
crazy?
everywhere. That's a good one.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. Monster Energy is preparing to announce one of the biggest sponsorships ever with a college athletic conference. It is apparently set to do a deal with the Big 12 worth $20 million annually that will have Monster logos on the uniforms and fields or courts for both football as well as men's and women's basketball. California-based burger chain In-N-Out Burger is expanding again with 6 new locations in 5 states. 2 are in its home state of California, along with Utah, Idaho, Arizona, and Tennessee. Expansion remains under some levels of control. CEO Lindsay Snyder Ellingson said back in March that it would not expand to the East Coast, as well as canceling the idea of online ordering or pickup. Wall Street stocks continue lower today. The Dow Industrial Average and the NASDAQ are both down more than 150 points. Meanwhile, West Texas crude is up 2% at $70 a barrel. And that's Your Money Now.
That'll be $84.52.
Perfect. Grab the bags, honey.
Mom, why do you always check your phone before we pay?
I'm just claiming my cash back on the Upside app. Since we're getting the groceries here and we filled up the car on the way, I've already earned enough this morning to pay for that pizza night we're having Friday.
Wait, so the app pays for pizza?
Not exactly, but the cash I earn on stuff we need helps us pay for the stuff we want. It's just a little win for our family every week.
Get more out of your everyday. Upside is the free app that gets you cash back on routine purchases like gas, groceries, and dining out at more than 100,000 locations nationwide. No points, no rebates, just cash back straight to your wallet. Download the free Upside app and use promo code ACT5 to get a $5 bonus on your first purchase. That's promo code ACT5 to get a $5 bonus. Remember, use promo code ACT5.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Hey, about an hour from now, we have Tech Talk Tuesdays. George Rosenthal will be here. Let me tell you about his company, because ThrottleNet is a great company. They've been helping St. Louis businesses navigate technology for more than 25 years, and they focus on security, strategy, and keeping companies productive. So what makes ThrottleNet different? A lot. Cyber threats, George will tell you, are not just a big company problem. Small, mid-sized St. Louis businesses are being targeted. One click that is wrong can cost you a lot of money, could cost you the business, could certainly cost you customers' trust. ThrottleNet is the only IT company that backs their cybersecurity with a $500,000 cyber protection program. One thing that George emphasizes on a regular basis is, and this is kind of stunning, most businesses don't know where they stand. Are they secure? Are you a mistake away from a breach? So we're offering you a free baseline IT security audit. It's very simple. You go to throttlenet.com/971. You fill in some information. It's a very simple way to get clarity on your cybersecurity risk. And then ThrottleNet can take it from there. They're your IT everything. They don't just fix problems. They provide full IT strategy, security, and IT support so you as a business can focus on what you do best. Throttlenet.com/971.
Things in Washington, D.C. may seem unsettled at times by their lack of progress. But one department in the U.S. government is progressing. That is the IRS. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. The IRS is in full function to collect on unpaid taxes. If you've been putting off a tax problem, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and get it resolved. Don't think the government is too busy to focus on my issues. Too many of my clients thought the same. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Remember, if you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Lance Story Law Firm. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Or call 314-260-6120 or visit LanceStoryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Freedom.com.
4:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
Freedom has a frequency. 97.1 FM Talk. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
All right, I mentioned this earlier in the show. I've covered, this goes way, way back in my career, but I covered a lot of trials because I was a news person, a news director, and an anchor before I started doing talk. I did music radio too. But back in the day, I would cover trials, and there would always be preliminary hearings before regular trials. And I remember them being pretty quick. There'd be some evidence that would be entered. The judge would say, yep, seems like there's enough evidence to move forward with a trial. So a little bit, I think, more of a unique situation, although we'll find out from Paul Mauro, who joins us, Fox News contributor. Of course, he has the opsdesk.org. We have like a week-long preliminary hearing for the guy that is the accused killer of Charlie Kirk. How are you this afternoon, Paul? How are things going?
I am good. Thank you for having me.
Why is this one so lengthy and there's so much testimony? Because, there's no way that a judge is going to sit back and say there's not enough evidence to move this to trial.
No, but I think you actually put your finger on it by mentioning a judge. So, look, under the law in Utah, this is the procedure that they have in lieu of an indictment. So in New York, you can get, you get the hearing and you have enough evidence presented, and as the saying goes, you can indict a ham sandwich. In Utah, it's a much more deliberative process, but my understanding, and I'm not admitted in Utah, but from speaking to some Utah people in the industry, my understanding is that they generally do move quicker. In this case, however, you have a couple of things. Number one, new judge, a lot of eyes on it, televised, political overlay, et cetera. A new judge, by the way, that does not want to be overturned. And so he is giving the defense every benefit of the doubt. And the other thing that's hovering over this is that not only is this a capital case, right, a death penalty case, but it is a state wherein the chosen method at present is the firing squad.
Yeah, that's right. You kind of forget about that. But Utah's the only state that has that, right?
Idaho actually has it as well.
Okay.
They put it in before the Koberger case, as they were proceeding to the Koberger case, because, see, what's happened is most of these states used lethal injection, but the anti-death penalty advocates got to the companies that provide the drugs. And so there are all kinds of court challenges relative to the drugs. And so the states that have capital punishment have said, okay, if that's the case, then we're just going to revert to the firing squad. So, the drugs were considered to be more merciful, but they're going back to the original, but at least they're not hanging. Our last hanging was in 1980. But, that's what's hovering over all of this, and I think that's why it's so slow.
So you could have, though, a similar scenario. You mentioned Koberger, where the process moves through, the death penalty's on the table, a deal is cut for life in prison, so then he stays alive. I can see that scenario actually playing itself out. Couldn't you?
I said early on in the Koberger proceedings that we could get a plea. And, I was kind of shouted down by some other lawyers, in fact, both on and off the air, just because of having had a lot of experience. Very often problems develop that you didn't foresee. And then all of a sudden a plea deal doesn't look like such a bad deal to the prosecution. Now, it's a different topic. We can go on about it. But there were reasons, I think, the prosecution out of nowhere became not only amenable to a plea deal, but they didn't even really make Koberger allocute of why he did what he did. He didn't really have to say much. At present, going off of what I know and have seen, I'm going to go the other way. I actually would be surprised here. I think that the Utah authorities are all in on this. They really feel like they have a strong case. You can really trace this backwards to frontward. You can literally, they've already showed him arriving and doing all the surveillance and all this other stuff. And remember, lying in wait is one of the aggravating factors for a murder to become a death penalty case. So I think that from what I can get from the atmospherics, having been out there a few times, et cetera, I would actually be surprised. But that said, problems could develop.
Yeah, right.
And
you don't know.
All of a sudden somebody evidence, the cops didn't do a great job vouchering the evidence. All of a sudden this might not come in and that kind of stuff. That's where you run into, maybe, all right, look, we'll take the death penalty off the table. We'll take the plea deal and everybody go home.
Paul, let me take you to Chicago, where I think you've been talking about this a little bit on Fox today. Sheridan Gorman, the guy accused of killing that Loyola student along the lakefront, was in court. Here's the accused guy's attorney.
He is an incredibly vulnerable, mentally disabled individual. And no amount of finger pointing at him and saying that, oh, he was able to get a gun, addresses the issue of the fact that mentally disabled people are able to get guns every day in America.
Paul, sounds like we need a social worker in this particular case, right? We don't need any prosecution.
Well, she went on to talk about how he needs dental work and all this other stuff, So that's what we're supposed to be concerned about right now. The fact that this guy, may need a filling repaired, as opposed to the fact that he gunned down an innocent girl in cold blood. And, I didn't really say alleged here, and we have to say alleged because he's not convicted yet until proven guilty. But notice his defense is not even arguing that the gun was in his hand. She just by that statement, she put the gun in his hand. So she's aware of the fact that there's voluminous video and evidence here, and that there's going to be no question, it looks to me, that this person, Jose Medina, is his name, by the way, two Medinas, did the shooting. And the defense is solely going to be a capacity defense. He doesn't know what he was doing, and so as a result, what is she going to get? She's going to argue that he goes into a mental health facility, and now this murderous illegal will be the responsibility of the American taxpayer from cradle to grave.
Unbelievable. How was your America 250 celebration out there?
It was pretty good, I got to say. I mean, God, it was hot. But you know what? I actually ended up not having to go down to D.C. There were all kinds of complications because of, so many people and the weather and everything else. And so I kind of got off easy and got to go to the beach. But I found the whole thing very, very moving. I put up a video on my X feed that got a lot of attention that, I tried to sort of capture my feelings on it. I'm old enough to remember the 1976
me too.
bicentennial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you bookend your career and your life a little bit with those kinds of things, it's hard not to be moved by it. And look, as somebody who's been all over the world, done all kinds of things with other governments and dealt with their nuances and how they govern themselves, make no mistake, if you open the floodgates tomorrow, half the world would be here.
They all want to be here.
And
of
there's
course.
a reason there's a line to get in here, right? So, nobody's lining up to get into China, and let's not forget that.
But you have, and then we got this scenario here in St. Louis I've been talking about just a little bit because we got a primary coming up here, and Cori Bush, who was sent packing 2 years ago, is on the ballot again against Wesley Bell, who won that seat from Cori Bush. Now, today she was endorsed by, I'll say, your friends out there in New York, the Democrat Socialists of America. And what happened in those elections last week, Paul, I mean, look, these people are crazy. I mean, there's candidates, there's flawed candidates, and then there's crazy. And the Democrats are going down the crazy route, and they seem comfortable with it.
They really do seem to be. And you got Plattner saying that he's not giving up the ship unless he gets to name his successor, and he's going to go hard into that same sort of territory. Look, I've been saying it for a while. I've actually been kind of saying it since Obama. I didn't use communist, I said socialist at the time. When you give away 1/6 of the American economy through Obamacare to the government, you can't tell me that's not leaning into socialism. And of course, it didn't work. We hear nothing but affordability out of the DSA these days, and yet we ignore the fact they've already had a demonstrated failure, which is Obamacare. Government-run health care, government-mandated health care. You can't choose your doctor, unlike what Obama told us in many instances, and it is roughly 4 times more expensive than it had been. I just talked to somebody that gave me the exact metric. So we've already had demonstrable failures from the DSA, in my opinion, because Obama, to me, was just a harbinger of all this. He was the vanguard of this movement. And I'm going to use an example that, I don't love using, but I got to show it, which is that we were told at the time he had nothing to do with Bill Ayers. He had nothing to do with Bernardine Dorn, that he wasn't thinking in those ways. And who did he invite to the opening of his library? There they were, front and center. And so this has been marbled into the modern Democratic Party for a while, and I think this is actually really them just saying the sort of quiet part out loud. I expect it to continue.
Okay, you need to explain who Bill Ayers is so people know who that is, because that's very important. And it was something that we talked about quite a bit that people ignored when Barack Obama was running for president in 2008. But that was deemed unimportant because he was the story, right? There was nothing that was going to stop that train. But Bill Ayers is a guy that was in this group called the Weather Underground that liked to plant bombs across the country years ago.
Yeah, that's right. They were responsible for devices that, I can't say Ayers personally, but that group killed cops, blew up buildings. They were hit by jowl with all of the worst terrorist groups at the time. They're a terrorist group. I mean, make no mistake about it. They weren't actually even exclusively American. They had outlets across the world. Ailes doesn't actually deny it. In fact, he says, I wish we had done
he's
more
proud of
than
it.
we should have.
Yeah, he's proud of it.
Yeah, he's very proud of it. So Obama, who was very lashed up with this guy, said at the time, and this was the quote, I don't share ideas with him. He's just a guy that lives in my neighborhood. That was the response. And, of course, the media picked up those marching orders, and everybody got on the same page. Bernardine Dohrn, radical communist. Those are her words, not mine. And, in fact, I don't know if they're married or if they're just, living together, but those two are a couple. And they are among the most radical in the
no doubt.
country.
Absolutely no doubt. I did not know that.
Professor jobs.
That's very interesting, Paul. I did not know that Bill Ayers was there. So was the Reverend Wright there? He probably was there too, right?
No?
No,
that was the next question I asked. No, Wright didn't get invited. It was an invite-only thing, and then they opened like a lotto for people to fill the back seats. But all the invitees had like the first 20 rows, and there he was, and there she was. Jeremiah Wright is alive. But
I know. I just checked
he had expressed some disappointment with Obama. Yeah, he's still kicking, but he, even during Obama's tenure, had expressed displeasure with Obama for not going far enough. So that maybe that's just not.
I could see that because he was certainly a radical. There's no doubt about that. Paul, it's always great to have you on. Check out the opsdesk.org. You have a great week. I appreciate it.
You too.
All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, on the roads tonight, we've got westbound 40 really lined up. And, of course, wait, is the game over? Is that why, Mark?
Yeah, we lost. We lost this afternoon 4-3. It was a doubleheader. It was a make-out of a rain game postponement from about a month and a half ago, but they have another game tonight.
Okay, well, it's jammed. And this is approaching Van de Venner out through McCausland. And out west, it's slowing at Clarkson and really jams up Lake St. Louis Boulevard. And 70, of course, is heavier out of downtown as well. We've got 44 with a little bit of volume. That's mainly at Kings Highway. That's still your best bet. Now, southbound 270, slow pockets approaching Olive. That goes down through Gravois before it gets better. 55 is in pretty good shape. We did have an accident reported south of 255, and then things open up and some moderate volume south of M. We're really jammed up on the Illinois side. Road work to blame. Eastbound 64. Very slow, approaching 157. There's a jam eastbound on the Poplar and westbound 5570, slowing at 203. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Ryan Wiggins here with 97.1 Talk in action for this month. Stop by the Mission Depot in High Ridge on Saturday, July 18th from 9 to 2. New suits, on-site hiring, VA benefits assistance, and free hot dogs. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
If you've been told that you need a new heating and cooling system for your home, and if you've gotten prices or you're going to get prices, call me. Try to stay away from the word high efficiency or efficiency. If you replace your system now and it's 12, 15, or 20 years old, you are greatly improving the efficiency just by replacing the old inefficient unit. Do not be fooled. If you want a common sense approach and you just want your house cooled, I will help you. If you're good with that, call me. One easy number. It's Missouri and Illinois. The easiest of numbers, 314-293-2600. Or on the internet, bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I, ZeroRes.com. God bless.
You know Zero Res, the zero residue carpet cleaner that leaves your carpets truly clean with no dirt attracting soaps or harsh chemicals. Don't risk it with the other guys and skip the DIY disasters that leave your carpet soaked for days. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet Zero Resified starting at just $129. Call 314-474-2020 or visit ZeroResSTL.com and ask for the 97.1 special.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
You feel it every time you check out. Prices up, paychecks stretched, families squeezed. That's why Ann Wagner's fighting to get government off your back and out of your way. Wagner passed the largest tax cut in American history, expanded child tax credits, ended taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. And Wagner is working to lower costs so families keep more of their hard-earned money. But Ann Wagner knows delivering for Missouri means more than just protecting their wallets. It means protecting our streets as well. That's why Wagner fought to secure our border, deport dangerous illegal aliens, partner with law enforcement, and put predators behind bars and off our streets so our neighborhoods and communities stay safe. Because real effective leadership protects what matters most: your money, your family, your safety. Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, after the top of the hour, David Strom from HotAir.com is going to join us. We're going to talk about the situation with Graham Plattner, and finally the Democrats have decided to throw him under the bus. It took a long, long time. Again, as I said earlier, you would think that a Nazi tattoo would be an automatic disqualifier, but no, they stuck with him time and time and time again. And they knew that these things were out there. Now, yesterday things changed, but this is the group of Democrats, including Bernie from the past, endorsing and standing by Graham Plattner.
Graham Plattner is the fighter we need. You bet. That's my kind of man.
I think Graham Plattner is a great candidate.
This guy is an authentic man.
I like Graham Plattner. You like Graham Plattner.
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Graham Plattner is the next senator from the state of Maine.
Yeah. Except today, Bernie said, I have spoken with Graham Plattner about the best path forward for Maine in light of these very serious allegations. I have recommended that he step aside. Now, look, there were serious allegations before Janny Rasso came out yesterday and did an interview with not only Jake Tapper at CNN, but Politico. Now, she's a progressive. One of the things that we're also finding out is the New York Times, shockingly, was responsible for journalistic malpractice in the story that they did several weeks ago when they talked about some of the allegations. But, of course, there were somewhat conservative women that were coming out against Plattner, and those people do not have any credibility. But when Janny Rasso comes out because she's a progressive, well, then people start to pay attention. So here's what she told Jake Tapper. And the Jake Tapper part of the audio sounds very hollow, and I'm not sure why that is, but here's part of the interview.
I know that you have been very reluctant to tell this story.
Yeah.
Very reluctant. Why did you ultimately decide to do it? Why come forward?
A few reasons. One of the biggest ones is that I think that there are a lot of men in this world relying on the silence of women and to be where they are. And I don't want to contribute to that. I also want to just get my life back.
There are going to be people, maybe even his campaign, certainly his supporters, who say this is politically motivated. What would you say to that?
I couldn't disagree more. That was actually one of the reasons that I didn't come out.
Because you agree with his politics.
I do. I really agree with his politics. I think we need somebody with those political stances and who are willing to do the work. And, I see his political videos. They get me fired up as well. I understand why people want someone like him in office.
So she's a progressive, and she backs off from trying to to kneecap him at first, even though she now says that he raped her because she likes his politics.
And I felt like me coming forward would potentially take that away. And I felt really uncomfortable with the responsibility and the weight of my story and what that might do.
When people hear this from you, are you saying you should not vote for him because of what happened?
I'm not going to go as far as to say that.
Seriously.
I'm just here to tell my story, to give a clearer picture of who he is and the type of past that he has. And I just think it's fair to the democratic process to let people know who they're voting.
Okay, well, and that cut off there. But here's Rashida Tlaib, squad member. I'm withdrawing my endorsement of Graham Plattner and calling on him to exit the race immediately so that he can be replaced by a progressive fighter who will deliver for the people and win back the Senate. These allegations are devastating and must be taken seriously. These are hilarious tweets because all of these allegations have been devastating, and all of them should be taken seriously, but they weren't. You could take all the women out of it, the rape allegations. You take all of that out of it. This guy is a piece of human debris to begin with, but they overlooked it all. I mean, you had a situation where there were Nazi tattoos, fantasies about porta potties, all this behavior with women, and now this finally, sends him out of the race, and everyone's tweeting today. Mark Kelly, the allegations reported today are deeply disturbing. Character and accountability matter regardless of the party. Really? I mean, the character was the same in this guy all along. Cory Booker, enough is enough. Graham Plattner needs to step aside. The main Democratic Party has called on Graham Plattner to exit the main Senate race. Here's the deal. He thinks he still has some gravitas, and he says he'll get out if he can pick his successor. Now, Janet Mills, who is the governor of Maine, was on the primary ballot. She got smoked, so they're not going to go with her, but there's a window here. So you have until the 13th, and I think there's another week. He's got to pull his name off the ballot, and then they have a week to decide who's going to go on there, and I don't know. Here again, the Democrats are really, really, putting emphasis on the democracy is being ruined by Trump, except in, 2 out of the last 3 years, they've replaced candidates, one a presidential candidate, with constituents having no say whatsoever in who the candidate is. That's democracy at work right there, Sue, I think, right?
Well, I just couldn't believe she said, well, yeah, he raped me, but I wouldn't go so far as to say you shouldn't elect him.
Unreal.
What?
Because she's still trying to protect.
Where is the line?
The line is that he's a Democrat and Susan Collins is a Republican. That clearly is the line.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we had the game let out, and we've really got some volume out there on westbound 40. So this is approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland, and there's a jam southbound 141 headed for 64. 64 stacks up again out at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Now, 70 westbound is slow, of course, headed out of downtown as well. And we've got an accident eastbound, east of Kings Highway. And that's created a jam. Even 44 a little slow out of downtown as the game lets out. Now, southbound 270, it's slow pockets, but it's from Olive down through Gravois. And 55, just a little slow through the construction zone south of M. On the Illinois side, heavy traffic coming off the Poplar, coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. And due to road work, eastbound traffic on 64 is jammed at 255. Westbound is jammed, headed for 111. Also, by the way, due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Let me explain some of the differences that you're going to find with Game Day Men's Health guys with a couple of different locations I'm going to recommend here in St. Louis. So if you're looking at, competitors, there's competitors for testosterone replacement therapy and some of the other things that we talk about. But with Game Day, there's the Game Day difference, and you're going to get a dedicated clinician in the in the location in Chesterfield. Matt Lawrence has 2 locations, Chesterfield and in O'Fallon. You're going to get experts in men's health. You won't get that with the competition. You'll get root cause treatments, which is really, really important. Same-day labs. They're still offering you the 1-hour visit. So, guys, if you're not feeling like yourself, if you think you need TRT, maybe it's peptides and vitamins, maybe it's GLP-1s. I mean, they have all of these. They have a pharmacy on site. That saves you money. The first visit is free. It is blood work that gets drawn. Within 20 minutes, they'll sit down, and depending on your needs, they will have a plan for you. It's a custom plan. There is no one-size-fits-all. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get started today. Tell them that I sent you in. Game Day Men's Health.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
Let's take a break.
Good idea.
Hey, Tom, what are you doing on that Amendment 4?
You know we fought for our freedom and rights. I'm not giving them away without a fight.
4 takes them?
That's exactly what 4 does. For over 100 years, Missouri voters have used our constitutional power to act when the politicians refused. I'll be darned if I'm voting to pass on less freedom and power to my kids.
And doesn't 4 kill majority rule?
Yep, creates minority rule, where just 5% of statewide voters in one district can block any citizen-led reform, making it nearly impossible to pass citizen-led ballot measures.
That's just dumb.
And when the politicians refuse to act, we've used citizen-led ballot measures to pass some big stuff, like lobbyist reforms, term limits for career politicians, and outlawing tax hikes without voter approval.
I'm not surrendering my power and rights to a bunch of politicians and lobbyists. I've no on Amendment 4.
Hard no on 4.
Petty 4 buttons are inch prepare governance.
KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
This is a Fox News alert. A new round of strikes against Iran. I'm Lisa Lacera. Central Command forces have begun launching a series of powerful strikes against Iran after it targeted and attacked commercial ships manned by civilians in international waters. CENTCOM calling the strikes unwarranted, dangerous, and a clear violation of the ceasefire. Earlier, the Trump administration revoked a license that allowed Tehran to sell its oil in the open market.
The Treasury Department waived some sanctions on Iranian oil sales as part of the 60-day ceasefire agreement reached between the U.S. and Iran, but that license allowing oil sales is now revoked. It comes hours after 3 commercial ships were fired at by Iran as they transited the Strait of Hormuz. A memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran requires the free and safe passage of vessels through the narrow waterway.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. In a statement, Iran's foreign ministry condemned the suspension of sales. President Trump now in Turkey for a NATO summit.
The president says he even would have skipped the summit altogether had it not been for where it's being held, as well as the invitation from Turkey's president, who Trump is clearly seeing as a close ally.
Fox's Mark Meredith in Ankara, Turkey. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders has joined the list of people calling for Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner to drop out after an ex-girlfriend accused him of sexual assault.
She's accusing him of raping her back in 2021. She tells CNN he forced himself on her inside of her home in Maine, despite telling him to stop.
Fox's Alexis McAdams. Plattner denies the allegations and has said that he will step back from campaigning this week, canceling a series of town hall events. If Plattner drops out by next Monday, Democrats have until July 27th to choose a new candidate to face Republican Senator Susan Collins in November. Wall Street AI stocks sent the markets lower again and now lost 130. America's listening to Fox News.
Point. Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh, no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
It's a nice evening around town and a nice overnight. Mostly clear skies, falling through the 80s for any evening plans. 69 for the low, still comfortable humidity levels. Wednesday, sunny skies, still comfortable. 88 for the high, not bad for July. Then Wednesday night, clear skies, 73. Thursday, still looking like the hottest afternoon. Partly sunny and 93 degrees. We've got showers and thunderstorms coming in here. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Okay, we're going to have a little bit more of a detailed conversation here about Graham Plattner and whether or not he's going to even survive the day as a candidate out in Maine for that Senate seat. But we have Tech Talk Tuesday coming up here in the latter part of the hour with George Rosenthal. And David Strom from hotair.com is on the line. Before I get to David, though, I want to kind of set this up because if you were with us in the last hour before the top of the hour, it's kind of going through some of the allegations and how the narrative with the new rape allegations in an interview and a story that Politico did and a sit-down interview. I played you some of the audio with Jake Tapper, how the pressure really got put on Graham Plattner to withdraw. Finally, it wasn't a Nazi tattoo. It wasn't, weird porta potty things. It was finally this allegation from a progressive. See, when somebody makes an allegation of rape or sexual misconduct and they lean right, well, you're not going to get any attention in the mainstream media. Don't worry about that. But if a lefty comes forward, a little bit more credibility, right? But here's what Jennings said last night on CNN.
The only thing I disagree with is when she said that he hadn't been vetted. No, he had been vetted. All of the things that have been stated, it was all out in the public. And people like Ro Khanna, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Tim Walz, the Bulwark, Pod Save America, all these people came together to overlook it all, to explain it all, to rationalize it all. He was vetted. People knew all these things. And a whole bunch of Democrats in Maine showed up and voted for him anyway. And a bunch of donors from around the country sent him money anyway. I agree with Alyssa's question. What changed? Why are you bailing on Graham Plattner now? You already signed off on Nazi tattoo, a self-described communist, somebody who's had rape fantasies, somebody who has been on a social media platform known as a playground for predators, and on and on and on and on and on. And the difference between this accuser and the previous one is simply this. She's a liberal. It's okay, I guess, for Democrats that their candidates assault conservatives. But he broke into someone's house and apparently, according to her, raped her. And because her politics are correct, they can now believe it. All of this whole thing is disgusting. But to say that they hadn't vetted him or that they didn't know about all this is totally false. They knew it and they signed up for it. And I don't know why they're backing away from this scumbag today when they had already signed off on all that other crazy behavior.
Christine?
I thought that was exceptionally well stated by Mr. Jennings last night at CNN, and I think my next guest, David Strom, is going to agree with that because he's been writing about some of that, associate editor at hotair.com. I mean, he nailed it there, right? And David, you have too. They knew about all this stuff. He was vetted. They stuck with him. What happened now? All of a sudden, because a progressive makes the accusations, then they're legitimate, right?
Yeah, well, it actually goes even deeper than that. His number one fundraising day was the day the story.
Whoops, I think we lost him there. Not sure what happened. That sounded like one of those situations where the signal might come back in about 30 seconds, but it hasn't done that yet. So I'm not sure what happened there. I'm going to put him on hold. Ethan, if you're listening to me right now, I think I'm going to put Dave back on hold and just see what happened there because I'm not sure. I'm going to try him one more time. Dave, you there? No, we don't have him. I think we're gonna have to get him back on the air. All right, we'll get back to David Strom here in a second. I can even play a little bit more audio here. For example, here is I think we have Sonny Hostin then and now, if I'm not mistaken, because some of the people on The View with some of this stuff is just absolutely ridiculous. I have Sonny Hostin talking about flags that scare her, but I thought I had the other Sonny Hostin, and I don't see it right now. Here is Plattner in Mamdani. Here's Mamdani basically saying, because Plattner lost Mamdani today too.
The focus of today should be to respond to the gravity of what so many of us have read. And I think that the only appropriate response is for the campaign to come to an end.
All right, and I did find the Sonny Hostin stuff. So this is June 10th.
I am sorry. I am someone that believes in character. I am someone that believes that morals matter. But because of the state of this country, if I lived in Maine, I would hold my nose and I would vote for Plattner.
All right, he is a piece of human debris. It's disgusting, but I'm going to vote for him because we need this Senate seat today.
I think he should step down at this point. I think there's no question about that. He has until, I believe, July 13th. I think we are in this existential crisis, and we need, as a Democratic Party,
have a baseline standard.
All right, so it's unreal the way they're going back and forth. I think we got Mr. Strom back on the air. Sorry about that, David. I'm not sure what happened there, but you were kind of explaining how, even some of the turnarounds here from, Bernie, et cetera, it's even worse than that, right?
Oh, absolutely. His number one fundraising day was the day that the New York Times story came out that he had assaulted a Republican woman. Right. And the entire Democratic Party got behind him. Money flowed in. People like Sonny Hostin came out and, countless others. Rocana went to campaign for him. He was out on the campaign trail with Bernie Sanders after all this happened. It was only after a progressive came out, who, by the way, you know why she came out? She said it's because the New York Times knew that she had been raped. She had told them off the record. And instead of letting people know that there was corroboration of the other accusations, they made it sound like she didn't have any problem with him and that he was just being attacked because a Republican wanted him out. The untold scandal of all of this, and there are many, many scandals, but the one that a lot of people need to focus on over the longer term is the New York Times knew and they buried it.
Yep. They did. And look, you point out in a column that you wrote today is a lot of this was very Beto O'Rourke like, right? Because you had, and look, this is what consultants do. They try to get stories in front of the media that are going to be glowing about their candidates. The other side does the other stuff, which is maybe what's happening with Graham Plattner now, because we know there's Oppo research and they, leak it out as needed. But with the New York Times, your point is very, very accurate because they ignore, in fact, one of the other women that was the accusers basically even gives more details about what she shared with the New York Times, saying that she gave them names, multiple names. They didn't even call them. They didn't want to know the truth here. But essentially, when they're rolling out Graham Plattner as not a Nazi, but a new American hero for the left, he is profiled in the New York Times, the New Yorker, GQ, even Bon Appetit. I didn't think Bon Appetit did national political stories, but apparently they did about Graham Plattner, right?
Oh, absolutely. And this all happened in the rollout for him. This was planned. It goes back all the way to David Axelrod of the who was Obama's political guy, the person who recruited Graham Plattner and set this all up is his protege, Morris Katz. And he went to the New York Times, which was a key part of getting Graham Plattner on the map. And, the Condé Nast magazines, all of these got behind Graham Plattner. A lot of this stuff they already knew. They knew about sexual harassment allegations. They knew about the Nazi tattoo, and they spun it and spun it. In fact, to a great extent, it's all based upon their kind of bizarre notion of what conservative middle America people like. They actually think that we like Nazi tattoos and guys with rough around the edges, just as they thought that Tim Walz was going to code talk to us.
Yeah.
They just do not understand, what motivates ordinary people, particularly ordinary men.
David Strom from HotAir.com is here. It even gets worse from this perspective, and you pointed this out, and it's justifiable to point this out. You have a legacy media, mafia out there, and the New York Times leading the way. When Brett Kavanaugh is nominated for the Supreme Court, Mark Judge is a guy who's come on my show. I know he contributes sometimes at HotAir.com, but Mark's been on the show before. There was zero corroboration about these allegations that Christine Blasey Ford bring before, Congress in the hearings with Brett Kavanaugh. Zero evidence. It didn't happen. But they acted like all that was true. They never really, it kind of matches up with what they did here because the facts of the story didn't really matter. Same thing with Grant Plattner. The only thing that mattered was the narrative of the story that the New York Times chose. And what the New York Times and others chose with Brett Kavanaugh for obvious reasons was a complete hit job with Christine Blasey Ford and a bunch of BS that any real journalist trying to snoop around and get the story would have discovered very quickly there was nothing there.
Oh, I mean, that is 100% right. I think that and I have liberals in my family, and every time I talk to them about any of this, it all boils down to this. Are you telling me that the New York Times lied to me? Should I trust you or the New York Times? I mean, they start with the notion.
It's
New
unreal.
York Times is right. Yeah, they're dipping into a credibility, that should never have existed, but by now it should have evaporated. But,
when I let you go here for the interview, I'm gonna read what Lindsay Fifield wrote because I know that you featured her and you kind of put her tweet in your column. And what she is she's one of the conservative accusers, and she lays out exactly what the Times did and didn't do here, which is just blatant journalistic malpractice, not even on the margins.
Oh, I mean, that, and the thing is that, this is actually a tactic that people in the media, talk about behind scenes. It's called catch and kill. If you know that there's a story out there that's going to hurt one of your favorites, what you do is you get out in front of it and then, present it as, I've got this scoop, and then, use various techniques to make it sound like it's big nothing burger. And this used to just be done by the tabloids. And so, when negative things come out, a friendly tabloid would do a catch and kill.
That was the way it used to happen. That's a good reminder. Yeah.
And now it's done by, organizations like the New York Times and sort of the prestige media out there. This it goes back to actually an old CIA technique that was called the modified limited hangout. You probably, remember hearing about that from the Watergate days, when you leak little bits of a story and make it sound, a lot smaller than it is. And so, somebody did something, but it was only this and only that. And it's a way of shaping and massaging a story that isn't going to help you, that will hurt you, and then create an alternative narrative. And when the rest of the media picks it up, because in this case they're all on the same side, it all turns out to be a big nothing burger. Living on X, I see, people put together these videos where you have, narrative builders all saying the same thing with minor variations.
Right.
It penetrates into the public consciousness, and you get to the point where reality is just sort of this vague thing that's, behind a big mist, and people just wind up, well, I trust these guys. It's their job to figure these things out.
Even when they've given us every reason to not trust them, there are still people, to your point, that do trust them. All right, one more thing that I want to talk to you about, David Strom, because this is something that has not gotten a lot of attention. I really appreciate your piece on this. Over the weekend, with the America 250 celebrations, you had a situation where there was a group of alleged white supremacists that went to D.C. to protest, and there's this picture that people have spread on social media of a bunch of these alleged white supremacists that are on a subway car in New York City. And there's a lone black girl that is sitting in the the subway car with them, looking horrified. So there are people on the left have tried to turn this into like a Rosa Parks moment, right? But in fact, it's anything but that, and it's actually kind of disgusting when you know the details here. So first of all, it's a very staged photo, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's actually like copyright Reuters. All right. So we're supposed to believe that a Reuters news photographer just happened to be on this train with a single black girl surrounded by white supremacists. And by the way, there actually was way in the back, there was an immigrant who somebody tracked down, and he said they were actually very nice. Very civil. I don't know anything about any of these guys or anything else, but it was absolutely staged. And then when you actually look at the young lady in the photograph, she turns out to be she has a rap sheet where she takes her clothes off in the subway. So
okay, I want people to understand this. Sue, I want you to pay attention to this too. So did you see the picture of the woman on the subway car?
No.
I'll show you the picture. Yeah. So it just looks terrible, right? Look at this poor woman, black woman, Rosa Parks. She's with all these white supremacists, right? But there's a video out there in the same clothing, and I don't know if it happened, in the same train ride, where she is literally pulling down her pants and acting like she's taking a dump in the subway train. Yep. That's the new hero for the left. It's unreal.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it tells you something about how to build a narrative, though, because, 1% of people see that video. Less than 1% ask, why was there a photojournalist just happening to be on this train? It's just, once you start peeling it back, it's so clearly staged. And for that matter, the particular group is the Patriot Front, of whom there is one known member whose face you've ever seen, and everyone else is behind the masks. All they ever do is show up places, walk around with flags, and then go away in rented vehicles. Which is why so many people think that they're feds. I don't know if they're feds, although they did participate under a different name in the Unite the Right rally, which was funded by the SPLC. And so a lot of people think that they're just an op, a psyop. I don't know. There are white supremacists in the world, but, in the grand scheme of things, people who walk around carrying flags there are only 300 of them known to exist.
Yeah, it's a bizarre. The whole thing is a bizarre situation. By the way, the analogy, and this is important too. The analogy to that photograph being staged with Rosa Parks is very much on point because, in fact, the Rosa Parks photo was completely staged. Completely staged.
Yes, the white man who's behind her, who supposedly looks so disgusted that she's in the front of the bus, is actually a news photographer.
Yeah, for UPI, right?
Yes, exactly. And, one of his children, I think it was one of his children, wrote about how nobody knows who, that this was her dad. But the photo was absolutely staged.
Well, here's what, by the way, for people who don't believe that, this is what she tells biographer Douglas Brinkley, that she left her home at the Cleveland Courts housing project specifically for a picture of her on a bus, and that the idea was for her to be seated in the front of the bus with a white man behind. Then Chris agreed to sit behind her for the purpose of the picture. Parks said she was reluctant to take part in the picture, but both the journalists, that's an interesting word, and members of the civil rights community wanted an image that would dramatize what had occurred. It was completely 100% staged event. There was nothing random about it, according to Douglas Brinkley. And most people have no idea that that's the case. Not minimizing the issue of civil rights and the inequality of African Americans. I don't want to do that. But that was not journalism. That was fake journalism.
No, and in fact, the incident that started all this was done by a different woman. And they decided that she was not photogenic enough because she was Yeah, they picked Rosa Parks. And, again, it's narrative building. And the New York Times is very big into this. I mean, if you've ever looked into the Kitty Genovese story, the one where she was supposedly raped and murdered and no one did anything.
I don't know that one.
It's worth looking into. Abe Rosenthal. It was. It started a firestorm, and it's still talked about, decades later. It's from the 1960s, and it was supposedly about how, everybody's anonymous in New York City, and, it's sort of this dark dystopia. And, Kitty Genovese did, in fact, get murdered, but people called the police. People went out to help her. I mean, the reality was entirely different than how it was presented. And Abe Rosenthal was asked about this, and he said, yeah, but it was a great story.
Oh, unbelievable. And you wonder why people don't trust the media, right? I've said that a couple of times this afternoon. David Strom, associate editor, hotair.com. You have a great week. Thanks for coming on this afternoon, David.
Always a pleasure.
Take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is an accident eastbound 70 approaching West Florissant, and they closed down the lanes to try to get this cleared. Westbound 70 is fine past there, but boy, is eastbound jammed. Now, eastbound 64 is a slow go, especially east of Lindbergh through Big Bend, and that is jamming up southbound 170. And westbound 40, that's a slow go. It's approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. By the way, they're saying now that eastbound at Big Bend, there's an accident, which would explain that delay. And then westbound slowing again, just past Lindbergh and then again at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. If you are southbound or will be on 270, it's mainly moderate volume. Approaching Olive down through 44. 55 has been a little slow south of M in the construction zone. And a lot of delays on the Illinois side due to road work. We're fine on the bridges, but westbound 5570 is slow 255 to 203. And eastbound 64 jams around 255. This report brought to you by Point Within E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas with Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Call Point Pest Control, mention Annie, and get 10% off your pest problem. Once summertime hits, ant populations begin to reach peak numbers, maybe even into the millions. Call Point Pest Control before they invade your home. Call Point Pest Control 636-798-0023.
Oh, we're almost at that point of the week where George Rosenthal comes on and scares the hell out of us about AI and technology. But Tech Talk Tuesday is right around the corner. I have what I think is an amazing offer from my friends at Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. I've been spreading the good word about them for a long time, and I know a lot of people have taken my advice. I've got some Reardon Roundtable participants that called and got a Generac automatic standby generator. They're the best in the industry, and right now, because it is Freedom Month, as a way to celebrate our 250th anniversary, they're offering you, for new sales and installation, $2,500 off for the entire month of July. So this is the time to get a free estimate from Generator Supercenter. The power has been knocked out even locally recently because of storms. You don't want it to happen, and you know what's happening in New York City right now. They have grid issues. Mamdani telling people keep the AC at 78. I'm sure people are not listening to that. But what if the grid goes down? We know it's an issue. The infrastructure is very old. Take advantage of, at the very least, getting an estimate. They have low monthly payments available. Financing is not out of the question for sure. And because it's Freedom Month, again, $2,500 off for the entire month of July. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com, 314-499-2020.
Gentlemen, Mark Cox here. When's the last time you actually felt like yourself? Victory Men's Health specializes in hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, and longevity. It's built for everyday men who just want to feel better and perform their best. They already have offices in Town and Country, Sunset Hills, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. They're about to open a new location in Glen Carbon very soon. It's a higher standard of care just waiting for you. Learn more at victorymenshealth.com.
A common question I receive is,
How is the market right now? It just seems so volatile. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. If you want to buy or sell but feel overwhelmed by the whiplash of the market, then let's talk. With over 23 years as a broker, I have the exact experience you need to help you navigate this tricky market. Call me at 314-441-4444. 314-441-ALL-4s. And remember, why pay more than two?
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Looking for a smarter, safer way to invest? For a limited time, lock in a great rate with Together Credit Union's 11-month CD special. From day one, your return on investment is guaranteed. No market swings, no surprises. Just a competitive, fixed rate that steadily grows your deposit. Make your money work harder with a financial partner that puts you first. Visit a Together Credit Union branch near you or go online to togethercu.org to learn more. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
All right, just quickly, I want to close the loop here on some of the Graham Plattner stuff, but I want to focus on the New York Times and the journalistic malpractice because, look, the reason that this woman came out yesterday with Jake Tapper and with Politico, Jenny Rasico, is because she was horrified by how the New York Times treated this other woman, Lindsay Fifield, who came forward to tell her story. But again, she's a Republican, so she's not someone you can trust. But when you look at what she says, because Lindsay actually had a very extensive tweet today that I think really kind of outed the truth about the New York Times, what the New York Times is all about. This is why people do not trust the media. So she says, I actually understand why Democrat leaders didn't take our stories seriously when the Times reported them in June, but are taking them seriously now. It was by design. And she's absolutely right. The line most shared from the piece was the claim that the Times, quote, could not corroborate my story despite talking to two of my friends. So she says, I gave them the contact information for 5 friends. They called the 2 who I clarified would not know about the abuse, but would be able to affirm our relationship, timeline, events, etc. Isn't that convenient? They did not call the other 3. I also gave them the names of all of my former roommates who remembered him stalking our row house, which was about 5 houses down from his, and waiting for me to return. I gave them the screenshots of messages between these roommates and I discussing it. I gave the New York Times the names of other men I dated who might have remembered him following us around the hill and showing up on my stoop after we walked home from dates to confront us. I gave them emails to my landlord urgently ending my lease and moving to an apartment across town and diary entries talking about it, all time marked. This is unreal.
Wow.
I told them that during the premarital counseling, I had spoken to my ex-fiance about the abuse because I had to explain to him why I reacted with such terror anytime he lost his temper. They said, oh no, we don't need to bother him or the priest. Besides, I had written about it in my diary in detail, they reassured. As the weeks dragged on, I stopped trying to give them evidence because the amount I had already given them seemed to overwhelm them, and I thought it meant that they clearly had more than enough to verify my every claim. My friends might not have known the details of the abuse, but they affirmed that, yes, I had told them that he was abusive long before he ran for the Senate. Besides, they assured my part in their reporting would be small. I thought they lie so much, these people do not trust print journalists. Ever. I'm just telling you right now, never, ever, ever trust a print journalist because they don't quote you. And anyone who's been quoted in a newspaper knows this. They make up your quote, okay? Now, they've done it to me. I've been quoted in a newspaper and I've seen my quote. I'm like, that's not what I said, but they clean it up. They kind of do a chat GPT on it. Sometimes they make you sound better, but sometimes they don't. They lie consistently. They are not to be trusted. So she says, besides, the New York Times assured me that their reporting would be small. I thought my details would only serve to affirm Jenny and the other anonymous woman. Jenny and I, having never met, she was the one who came forward, have never met or spoken, both shared with these reporters terrifyingly similar details of intimate partner violence, coercive control, cycles of abuse, love bombing. The third unnamed woman in the story did as well. But tell me again how they, quote, could not corroborate.
Wow.
Journalistic malpractice, Hall of Fame level. Congratulations, New York Times.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Wow, that is nuts. Okay, accident eastbound 70 approaching West Florissant, and they had the eastbound lanes closed down for a while. So that has really created a jam behind it. Westbound traffic just a little slow through there. It's much better. Then it opens up, moderate volume at 141. Now 64 westbound. Still lining up, approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland, but there's an accident reported eastbound, close to Big Bend, that's left us with a jam past Lindbergh. And then westbound traffic lines up again, Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Now, we've got southbound 270 with slow pockets approaching Olive. That goes down through 44, then it opens up. 55 is looking okay. Headed into Illinois, we're fine on the bridges. Westbound 5570 because of road work slows from 255 to 203. And eastbound 64 jams at 255. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Why pay full insurance when you can customize and save? Switch to Liberty Mutual and they'll customize your auto and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Do you need replacement windows? If you do, you should go with the best, and that's Pella Replacement Windows. Then you ask the question, well, who should install those Pella Replacement Windows? That's easy. Banner Construction. Banner recommends Pella windows. They've been proud to partner with Pella for a long time. Pella just celebrating 100 years in business in 2025, and they prefer Pella at Banner because they have superior performance and beauty. And I always say they look good from the inside and the out, whether you're doing it for energy efficiency, weather resistance, maintenance, improved curb appeal, it doesn't matter. The team at Banner will work with you. They'll put together a great proposal. They'll work within your style for your home. Everyone's got different, taste and your budget, but they're going to come in and give you a step-by-step replacement process. If you hire Banner, they knock it out of the park. The customer service is amazing. And all Pella window replacements come with the Pella Care Guarantee for your peace of mind. They can do the same with James Hardie Fiber Cement Siding. They specialize in both of those products and are trusted by both of those big companies. Want to find out more? Call 314-569-1050 or the website bannerconstruction.com.
I'm Bill Hemmer, and these are the most impactful moments in American history. February 23rd, 1846, the people of Philadelphia gather together to celebrate the birthday of the nation's first president, George Washington. As in previous years, the president's birth was celebrated by ringing the Liberty Bell, which by most accounts was one of the bells rung on July 4th, 1776. Over the years, the bell was rung to signify celebrations, protests, and revolution. These monumental moments left indelible marks on the bell, both figuratively and literally. But it was during this historic celebration that the crack deepened and the bell was silenced for good. Despite its fracture, the Liberty Bell became a symbol of American independence, proving you don't need a perfect bell to let freedom ring.
America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk, sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from Crawford Butts Insurance. As we reflect upon the 65th anniversary of Crawford Butts and we enter the heart of the summer season, I hope that you're able to take some quality family time and enjoy your family and friends, especially as we join together as Americans celebrating our 250th anniversary as a nation. So from all of us at Crawford Butts, a blessed summer and happy birthday, America. Contact me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500.
Listen up. If you have not paid self-employment, business, or individual taxes in years, the IRS will find you. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. I offer real solutions. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120 or visit LanceDruryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Happy birthday, America, in 2026. Get used to hearing the word semi-quincentennial. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center. Tech Talk Tuesday with George Rosenthal of ThrottleNet.
All right,
ThrottleNet.com.
Oops, I've talked too much in the last segment, George, so I don't want to short you. How are you this afternoon?
That's okay. Doing great. Hope you had a great 4th holiday, and good to be back.
Well, we did, and then you're going to ruin it for us now because you're going to talk about some threats that are out there on the internet. So tell me about this thing with the FBI Microsoft passwordless scam. This sounds very devious, and I'm glad I don't use Microsoft.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us, but I do have a Mac story that we're going to be disappointed in. So this one is a passwordless scam, and this is a new phenomenon called phishing as a service. So you can now go to a website and pay these people in Bitcoin without going on the dark web and basically phish a company or somebody you don't like. And what happens is they will send a 6-digit code as like a multi-form factor authentication code that you would normally have to log into your Microsoft 365. And it looks totally legit. And when you click on it, because you think you've been logged out, because you get this email and it's like, oh, well, you need to relog into Microsoft. Here's a 6-digit code. Click this link. It takes you to the legit Microsoft.com device login page. But when you clicked on that link, before it forwarded you to the legit Microsoft site, it implanted some code on your computer. And now when you go and log into the legit Microsoft.com 365 account, you're going to, as soon as you put in that code, the bad guys are watching, and then they now have your login for Microsoft forever, and nobody says anything. They can then go in and obviously take over your Outlook. They can take over your Teams, your Microsoft OneDrive. They'll have full access to everything on your M365 account. And this is basically hacking by hire without having to go on the dark web. So it's entering a whole nother level of
Typically, when you have a situation like that with a code, I know you even reference, like, you can, if I get signed out of Netflix on my TV, there's a QR code, and then I sign on my phone, and then, you get the code and you sign right back in.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, you're saying that, what they're trying to tell people is those codes don't happen accidentally. They're generated when you say send code or something like that. They don't automatically appear in your text or your email box, and people are kind of falling for that.
Oh, absolutely. They're falling for it left and right. It's the biggest hack now and the biggest scam going on right now because people, I guess, are thinking that they've been timed out, or maybe their company policy has logged them out because they haven't changed their password in a while. Or for whatever reason, they think they're being automatically logged out. They are now listening to that 6-digit code and logging in. And then because they've clicked on an email link, the bad guys are already on their computer watching what's up. So by the time you even log into your Microsoft 365, you think you're back in, but they're already running bots that run everything and are basically looking through your email and everything else.
So you say that the one of the fixes for that is to turn off device code authentication in Microsoft Entra ID. That makes no sense to me, but is that the advice?
What that means.
Yes. That's something. Well, you definitely need to have your IT department or your IT administrator basically turn that off. You also turn off your automatic authentication. Number two, you need to train. We really strive big time with our clients on training all their employees. Don't click on anything in an email. Even if you have a 6-digit code, go to Microsoft.com by yourself and try and put the code in. Because by clicking on the email, you've let the bad guys onto your device to where they're going to see the code you're putting in, and now they're in on the game with you.
Yeah.
But if you didn't click in an email and you just went to Microsoft.com and logged into your 365, then you're fine.
Okay. Yeah. You guys, I used to think, I wondered to myself, at what age, is it an age thing that someone just becomes susceptible to stuff? When does grandma start believing the crazy random phone calls? And just going down and having this conversation makes me realize it has nothing to do with this is moving so fast. That I don't know how, the average person can keep up with this.
So let's segue, George, because you mentioned I'm a Mac guy, and I use all Apple products, but now you have something that is being spread by some of the ads on X that are infecting the Mac in a negative way, malware.
And actually to go, yes, and to go to your point, Sue, nothing can be trusted anymore. And honestly, trying to keep track of all of this is almost impossible. So you just can't trust anything. And here, look, this story is about trusted, verified ads on the X platform, okay? But this ad has been trusted, has been verified, has the blue star on it just by X itself. But here's what they're doing. On a MacBook, on an iPhone, you have the little, what they call the island at the very top. It's where your camera is. It's a little island, and it changes based on what you're looking at. So if you have ESPN open and you're monitoring the Cardinals score is at the top of your phone where your camera is. And you can touch it and go to the app itself. It's very, very handy, very useful. The MacBook laptop, though, does not have the floating island around the camera. There's a blank space where it will go, I'm sure someday, hopefully, when they do software upgrades. But this ad is saying, you know that cool feature you have on your iPhone? Well, you can put that on your MacBook if you just click this ad.
Yeah.
And you click the ad to put the cool island on your MacBook, and the thing asks you, it goes to a legit looking page. It looks like a real piece of software. It does validation that you're a person. It doesn't look, it does the CAPTCHA. So you have to pick all the bicycles in the picture so it knows you're a person. But it asks you to copy and paste some code into the terminal application on your MacBook. Please, anybody out there listening,
don't do that.
Don't ever copy and paste anything into the terminal app on your MacBook. My goodness, don't ever do that because you are accessing the core of the operating system. Don't ever do that. So this is not like, hey, click this button and download this app and then maybe, give us a couple of bucks and then they infect your computer. This is like copy and paste this into the raw operating system and then we're going to own you. It's people are falling for this because it's a verified, trusted ad on X.
Yeah.
Because it's got the blue check mark.
But why is that?
You cannot trust the blue check marks anymore.
So that's crazy because, but you're saying that's Mac only. So that's attacking just the Apple people, right?
They're targeting just the Apple people because they know there's a vulnerability there. They know that Mac people feel safer because traditionally there's so many more of the marketplace using Windows that they haven't gone after Mac in such a focused area. But now, they know it's game on because Apple's market share has grown, and of course they're a target-rich environment because they haven't been targeted.
Yeah. George Rosenthal is here. It's Tech Talk Tuesdays from ThrottleNet. We have a lot of fun with this. One more topic, and I will say that this sounds like a band name, but you'll have to tell me what it's all about. Jade Puffer. I kind of like that. Sounds like a good radio name, too. Jade Puffer with you on 97.1 FM Talk. What's this about?
I will never see that the same way again. From now on, it is a band or a DJ. I'm sold. But yeah, Jade Puffer is the very first fully autonomous AI-driven ransomware attack.
Awesome.
Okay, this is completely autonomous, completely runs on its own. And when this was discovered in a very large company that hacked them, and they haven't released the company name, but here's what it did. It reasonably focused on once it got in, so it worked its way on getting into the network. Once it got in, it reasoned on how to go after the right employee, what to go after within that employee's computer. It adapted, it solved problems, and then when a login failed, it picked a person out, it got into the network, picked out an employee, and then when it got to their computer and couldn't log in, instead of crashing, which normally a scripted virus or scripted ransomware attack would do, this thing rewrote its own code and successfully broke into the computer in 31 seconds. Okay. So it kept rewriting itself, and they're watching it live rewrite itself. That is a different level of crazy. That you have a ransomware attack rewriting itself on the fly.
Okay. Which is exactly why when I saw that 60-minute story 2 years ago on AI, when it talked about AI kind of taking over in some way and thinking for itself, it scared the hell out of me. And this is an example of that.
Yes.
Yes. And not only that, here's the thing. The AI made a mistake, and it gave them the wrong Bitcoin key, and now it also did not give them – it wrote a very nice ransom letter. It was very polite in its ransom letter. It demanded a certain amount of Bitcoin, and it left them with a key that was incorrect. So they have no way to pay because the bad guys didn't do any testing, and the AI had a hallucination, which is basically an error, and the error made it so that when the hack occurred, all the data is permanently gone. There is no ransom to pay. They permanently lost everything. So in 31 seconds, this thing hacked somebody's computer in the business and by accident made it so that the bad guys couldn't even get paid. But that's not the point. The point is all your stuff is gone.
Oh.
It crashed. It stole 1,300 configuration items within the network. It wiped original files. It took over databases inside the business. This is such critical. And I'm telling you, this is stuff that ThrottleNet could have solved. I feel so bad for these people because no one at ThrottleNet's paid ransom because we have white hat ethical hackers on staff that are looking at this stuff and ensuring that none of this occurs to our clients. And it's so sad to see this, that people are losing their entire business. This whole business is gone over nothing.
Unreal.
It's just absolutely crazy.
Tech Talk Tuesday, also known as the week where we scare the hell out of you with George. And thanks for doing it again. Another great segment, George. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a great rest of the week.
Audio cut of the day is coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
This is why people go off the grid.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is. Okay.
I mean, every time I hear him describe these things, it's like horrifying.
Yes. All right, there is an accident on eastbound 70, and it's approaching West Florissant. They had to shut down the eastbound lanes and a huge jam behind it. Westbound 70 is okay. Eastbound 64, slowing east of Lindbergh through Big Bend, and westbound is slow now. Hampton out through McCausland, and then out west it's still slowing at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Now, if you're headed into Illinois, we're fine on the bridges, but westbound 5570 slows from 255 to 203 due to road work, and 64 eastbound is slowing at 157. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We're here to celebrate America's 250th birthday in 2026. This is 97.1 FM Talk. America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
If this is the year you're going to upgrade your backyard, call Chesterfield Fence and Deck. It's Mark Cox here. ChesterfieldFence.com is the easy website for you to get to. You go there, they're going to give you a free in-home estimate. They're going to give you free project design. And right now, when you mention my name, they will give you 48 months same as cash financing. Think about that. You get the job done now. You take your time paying for it. You don't pay any penalties and interest. You just get your backyard looking great. It doesn't matter what you're looking for. Of course, they do wood fences and decks. They can do the composite decks that are basically maintenance free, and they can do that for the fencing as well. But maybe you've got something bigger in mind. Maybe you're going to put in a sunroom. You're going to put in an all-season room, maybe a pergola in the backyard or a new fireplace. You can trust my friends at Chesterfield Fence. They've been doing this since 1968. They take a lot of pride in what they do. Check out their reviews online. Tell them Mark sent you. Go to ChesterfieldFence.com.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit ThrottleNet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
If you or someone you know suffered any injuries involving a deployed airbag, you could be entitled to compensation. Morgan & Morgan has already recovered millions. Get America's largest injury law firm fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's best eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis conservative.
Well, this is a little inside baseball, but I'm about to leave here again from the show and head home, and I just wanted to tell you, Sue, at the very least, you what happened last night, because we have this building here, Park Pacific. It's actually really a beautiful building.
Yeah,
it was
it
an
is.
old railroad building from like the 1920s, I think, right? I don't know all the exact history. Most of the building is apartments. We have 3 floors of commercial. I think 1 floor is completely empty. There used to be like a charter school in here. And then we have one of the entire floors, right?
Right.
So we have a parking garage. We're lucky that we have a garage that we can park in
Yes,
that's
we are.
secure. But the problem is that the gates in the parking garage never worked. They were really outdated, like apparently really outdated. And there was some building ownership changes. So we've been in a situation for the past, and I think this is going on 2 months. I really do. They've been trying to fix the gates to let you into the parking garage. So nearly every day when Sue and I pull in and when we leave, there's people down there trying to figure things out.
Right.
So when I pull out last night, there are 3 lanes, but usually 1 lane is to come in and then 1 lane shut down and then
Yeah.
you can go out the other way. So I pull in the lane that I think I'm supposed to pull in, and there's workers there, and I pull right up to the little gate thing, which is closed.
You're in the middle?
Yeah, no, I'm in the far right side.
Oh,
The
okay.
far right side.
Yeah.
But I pull up to the what would you
Yeah.
call that? Like the thing
arm.
The arm. Thank
Yeah.
you. And I'm like, my car is almost touching it, and I'm not getting any action. It's not opening. So I roll my window down. I'm actually being very patient. I'm like, hey guys, do you want me to pull down the middle? Because I mean,
Right. What
I'm
am I
sitting
supposed
there.
to
I'm like,
do?
what am I? And the guy goes, pull closer. I'm like, pull closer? It's gonna hit my car. What he meant was pull closer to the inside. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is what we're going to have to do. And he goes, well, they're not working. We're trying to fix it. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty clear that they're not working because we've been dealing with this for 2 months. So I back the car up and pull it closer to the curb.
Okay.
I don't even know why that matters, but then it opened up.
Okay, because I got through fine just before you.
Yeah, it was your fault then, is what I'm hearing.
Well, no.
I
that's
think it was.
not what I'm
I
hearing
think it was.
or saying.
Anyway, I would. Did you see what they did? They put all new arms. Like they
Yeah,
had all these arms
yeah.
in. They removed all the arms. I want to see what the budget is for that. What that project is
Those
costing.
poor guys.
Because first of all, the equipment was terribly old, and they've just not been able to fix this.
No,
it's literally
it's
2
been-
months.
Yes.
Unreal.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Well, let's try to go out on a positive note here with U.S. men's national team, and it wasn't pretty last night. They used, the trump card. It doesn't help them win the game against Belgium. Here's the team captain, Tim Ream.
Thank you. Just a big thank you. We felt it. We saw it. We embraced it. We enjoyed it. We loved every minute of it.
Look, it's
Oh,
a very
that's
short
nice.
email. It is nice. And there was a very short email that went out to fans today from the team. And it says, Dear America, we believed, so did you. When we asked, why not us, you answered. You filled stadiums. You brought the game into your homes, bars, parks, communities
Aw.
across the country. Look, that's important because there were
is.
predictions that this thing was going to be a failure, right? They said every time our players step onto the field, they carried your support with them. Wearing the crest is a privilege, and hearing your voices throughout this tournament is something we will never forget. We'll learn from this. We'll get better to compete with the world's best, and we'll keep doing the work because that's what this team and this country expects of us. To every kid who watched this team and dreams of wearing this crest one day, keep playing or start playing today. We'll be cheering for you. Keep believing. Keep showing up. Support your local soccer teams. They need their community. We'll keep doing the work to make sure every child who wants to play can do so. That means more places to play, more great coaches, referees, and mentors, and a game that's welcoming, affordable, and fun for everyone. There's a home for everyone in soccer. Thank you for standing with us and believing in this team. Thank you for believing in the future of soccer in this country. Country Roads, Take Us Home. We'll see you there. I'll go out with the fans singing that here because this was pretty impressive. And they gave it a good run, and the World Cup has been awesome, and I think it'll continue to be awesome. Sue, we'll see you tomorrow at 3.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident eastbound 70 approaching West Florissant. Major lane blockage. They shut down all lanes for a while. We've got a real jam going behind that. Now, westbound 70 is fine out of downtown. 64 westbound, still a little slow at Clayton Skaker. Eastbound is slow approaching 170 through Big Bend. And out west, westbound still slowing, headed for Prospect. Southbound 270 looks pretty good. We've got a jam on the Illinois side. Road work. Westbound 5570 between 255 and 203 is a slow go. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
See website for details. BillsHappen.com is not a lender. It does not make credit decisions. Must be 18 years old. Not available in all states.
Honey, everything is so expensive, and our bills are piling up.
You're telling me credit cards are